So namaskar and good afternoon again. Thanks for your patience. I believe and trust that all of you are so deep in music you understand the requirement of getting things in right tune before you can start. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense at all to start. I would be as hard as that.
Pardon me. We beg your pardon, sir. In the beginning of your program, we will interrupt you for 5 minutes. We have some formalities. Basically, you are an awardee from ICIMPA 2020 and from Muktabodha Center for Indological Studies and Research. So let us take the opportunity today, finally, to confer the award. Please welcome Mr. Karsten Wicke, the accomplished Rudrabina player, for receiving his Lifetime Achievement Award, the prestigious Professor S.C. Goswami Memorial Lifetime Achievement Award for his contribution, outstanding contribution to the field of Indian music and Rudrabina. I welcome Professor Sanjay Bandyopadhyay, sir, and I request my happy to help group members to bring the award. Sir, Professor Sanjay Bandyopadhyay is welcoming Mr. Karsten Wicke, the Artists of the Year from ICIMPA 2020 and Muktabodha Center for Indological Studies and Research. Ladies and gentlemen, the Lifetime Achievement Award, S.C. Goswami Memorial Lifetime Achievement Award is conferred to Mr. Karsten Wicke, the well-known, accomplished Rudrabina player, for his outstanding contribution to the field of Indian classical music and ancient instrument Rudrabina. Ancient Indian instrument Rudrabina. So here is a small model of Veena, though not Rudrabina, which is given to him. Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity. Thank you, Karsten, for giving us such a nice opportunity to give you this award. We welcome all the artists on the stage. Please, ma'am, both of you, please come here, give us an opportunity, and Mithun bhai, please come up once, just for 5 minutes, give us an opportunity to welcome you formally. Thank you so much. Thank you. We welcome Ma'am Atreyi De. Please, ma'am, please come forward. Please come up. Sir, please, please. Please, once more. We are not leaving you right now. Please come, ma'am. Atreyi, ma'am, for formal welcoming. On behalf of the Department of Musicology, Rabindra Bharati University Faculty of Fine Arts, and Muktabodha Center for Indological Studies and Research, Howrah, ICIMPA 2020, we are giving formal welcome, welcome ceremony is going on. Srimati Atreyi De, Tanpura, is playing Tanpura today, accompanying with Karsten Wicke, the Rudrabina player. Next, let us welcome Mrs. Sabina Pandey. Ma'am, please come up and let us take the opportunity to welcome you. The members, the wonderful members of our Happy to Help group They are very eager to welcome our guests, artists. And Professor Sanjay Bandyopadhyay, our former Alauddin Khan Chair Professor, is welcoming the guests, artists. Sabina ma'am, thank you so much ma'am. Thank you. Thank you for coming today and taking part in our program. Thank you so much. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, now is the time to welcome our Mithun Bhai. Great. He is the great Mithun Chakraborty, though not Mithun Chakraborty. His Mithun Chakraborty is our dearest guest here, a very good friend, our student from this university, and now is a very accomplished Pakhavaj player. And we are taking the opportunity to welcome him today, and we give him a big thanks for playing today with accompanying with Karsten Vicky. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Many thanks. Thank you, sir. Professor Sanjay Bandyopadhyay. Thank you. Many thanks. Thanks to the artist. Thanks to the coordinator. Now, finally, the session is over to Karsten.
Well, you know all the situation when the train is already 1-2 hours late, you are eager that it starts. At least then. But at the same time, it's of course very important we keep up these traditions like the welcoming of artists, which I think is a very valuable thing, even in spite of time seems to be short. My big thanks for the Department of Musicology for the invitation, for thinking we have something valuable to share and to offer to the students and all the knowledgeable academics being present in this Congress. Thanks for the award, which I'm not really sure. Lifetime Achievement Award sounds a bit like somebody wants to retire, but I'm planning, in fact, to have a few more chapters with the permission. But I take it as an incentive to work even more intensive. For the last 3 decades, I was fortunate enough to put my life into the subject of Rudravina of Drupad. And I personally at least couldn't find something better to dedicate my life to. And that's of course wonderful if people who have an interest, which is rare enough today, can sit together and appreciate that and listen something more about the subject. So with that now I'm trying to come to the actual subject, negotiating tradition and modernity in musicology and performing arts. Well, the tradition is sitting here beside me, and the modernity is sitting with myself. Somebody who has been born and brought up outside of India, who didn't hear a single svara of Indian classical music before he became 20, and nowadays tries to bring this instrument from a status of being available rather in the museum back to the stage. And with a certain success. As I said, I'm still trying to write a few more chapters. Well, negotiating tradition and modernity, I think everybody of us has his own kind of perception or experience in that. We could talk big things about how societies are changing, cultures are changing, music traditions are changing, but in the end, as I see it, it's a very personal decision we make, what we consider to be valuable enough to be maintained, and what we do to maintain it in present times. When you come up with a tradition like that, which sometimes feels like you are living with a dinosaur, and I mean that in many realistic ways, even traveling with that, you know, you are never below 50, 60, 70 kgs of baggage. And so many other factors. You really have to think, is it valuable enough? Is it something which belongs to this time? Or should it be just forgotten, like so many other things? In fact, when I came here as a tabla student in the 1990s, this is almost exactly now 30 years ago, being a student of Pandit Anindo Chatterjee, I had heard this instrument myself only on recordings. And I was very keen and eager to see it somewhere live. And I was going through all the festivals, which at those days even were much more present than we have it today. But I couldn't find a live concert of the Rudravina. The answer whenever I asked was, go to the museum. You can see it there. And I will spare you the long kind of journey it took then to finally reach out and being accepted by Padma Bhushan Ustad Asad Ali Khan, my Veena Guruji. By whatever fortune and grace I could meet him, whatever he saw in me, accepting me as a Veena disciple, and then having the possibility to be with him for around 15 years, I can only guess that even Ustadji, who told me when we were discussing about the future of the Rudravina, he would say, Carsten, don't worry. If you take care of the Veena will take care of you. And I was taking the sentence as knowing my Ustad, being grown up in the courts, still being born in Rampur, being a sort of an aristocrat, living in his own world of music, and I knew very well this is not going to happen, not in 21st century. And while I was struggling often in my young years with this sword, thinking I must have been misplaced, being born and brought up in Germany, because everything I have to do in my life is here in India. So I thought in the beginning this is completely wrong. And it was just growing into the subjects what all had to be done in order to bring this instrument more back on stage, to create more awareness, even to just manufacture those instruments, which has become absolute necessity for all of us, this handful of people which are performing nowadays here in India, the Rudravina. And that is where I understood then, without the upbringing in a different culture, without a different look from the outside, I possibly would not have been able to do what I do. And that's for me a very clear living of negotiating, having a tradition and bringing it into modernity, letting it survive. When I discussed with Ustad, is it possible to learn this instrument, while we all know very well, especially with these kind of orthodox musicians, what kind of a task it can be just to approach them. You've all heard the stories of Alauddin Khan Sahib trying to become a disciple of Wazir Khan, the years he spent in just begging to get some teaching. And my Ustad was also very clear. He said, see, this thing, you have to go through the full schooling. You cannot just take a shortcut. So he said, in the beginning, we will train the very own instrument of the musician, that is the voice. And then we need to train the fingers. That will possibly happen on a little bit lighter instrument, the sitar. And then from there, when the Ustad is satisfied and thinks you are mature enough, you might be able to proceed to the Rudravina. And I was fortunate enough to have a already 30 years involved student along with me, a Guru Bhai, who told me then, well, Carsten, if you try in your age now to do the whole schooling in the traditional way, you will have a white beard before you touch the Veena. So I was I was very keen to learn in traditional way, but I was not ready to wait so long. And what I did then, I followed an advice of that old elder Gurubai, and he said, you just try to get an instrument, and then you bring it to Ustadji's feet, and then ask him to teach you. Now that was very nice thought. It was already at that time, middle of the 90s, very difficult to just go out and attain an instrument, which later became even much more difficult. I did the same, and then Ustadji was sitting with the instrument, looking at it, a little bit disgusted because it was a very old, hardly playable instrument. And he said, all right, we will teach you, but we will teach vocal also. And I went half dancing out of that class that evening, not knowing that the coming next 2 years, he would more or less keep me singing sa and playing the same. His argument was very simple. When the one swara is not perfect, what do you want with the second one? These were the days. And I'm really happy, and in a way, you cannot find the words for it, that I could still see that world and live and get something of it. But it's very clear, I can see even on your faces, I'm just talking about it, and I see the napping is setting in, which is of course the time also. Who would be ready today for 2 years to go and just sing sa or play sa, right? So these are the things we have to see, how can we keep those valuable things alive, bringing them into a form where newer generation can take an interest, have a chance to pick it up, because it's not only that you wish to do it, it's also your possibility, which I understand for most of the young people, it's not a very attractive kind of thought that you're going to learn something for 20, 30 years and then you don't even have a market where you can perform, or you can't even live on it. Because that's also a very clear thing. When people ask me, sir, where can I learn it? Where can I get the instrument? I'm asking them the first thing, why you want to do it? And fortunately, not many of them come with an idea like, because I want to become the famous Rudravina player in the world. Because my next answer is, you know, becoming a Rudravina player is certainly the most perfect professional suicide you can do. There's no market for it. There's no money for it. But sir, you are living, you're doing it. Then I say, yes, there's no playbook how you do it. It's half by grace, half by managing the things somehow. But the main thing is actually madness. Madness for something which you consider to be valuable enough to be still with you. And I think that's an adequate answer to not only for the Rudravina, for so many valuable traditions which we see, which are vanishing, and where we have to answer the question, do I keep it up or not? It's just a question, do you have enough space in the heart for it? Then you will find a way. If it is not, so I have been asked today to present a workshop. I think they thought you should not just sit and listen. They wanted you to see a little bit more working also. So in that way, well, the subject came yesterday to me, being called Drupat and Rudravina in musicology. I can share, of course, with you a few academic facts, which I think most of you are anyway very well aware. I will not go there in any big depths, because it's not really a paper which I'm presenting here. Drupat, as I'm really taking it as a given fact. We call it today the oldest kind of still performed form of Hindustani classical music. I think to a certain right. You all know that the traces of origin of Drupad going back to the chanting of the Veda, the Samagana, Samgan, then developing into forms in the first millennia, forms which were called Chant or Prabandh, forms of which we can read a little bit in the Natya Shastra, but also in the Sangeet Ratnakar. These were all pre-forms of something which then finally seemed to have established as a own kind of vocal form in around 14th, 15th century. We all have heard about Raja Man Singh Tamar in Gwalior being a big promoter, then even the Mughal courts taking up this as a music form. And just 3-4 days back we had the Holi festival, or Dol Purnima as it is here in Bengal. So somebody was interviewing me about the music of Holi, the Holi Dama, the special kind of to grammar, to aesthetics, to develop into that kind of shape which we see from today. The Rudra types, ancestral types of the Rudravina. We have statues of a Shivji standing, holding a very simple type of this instrument, a bamboo stick with a half gourd. This instrument was called Alapinivina. And then this is around 5th century. Other types which also were part of what we called at those days Marga music or Deshi music, means folk music or more the ritual musics. All those forms were involved. We had other pre-types of this instrument, which the musicology calls the stick sitter, being the Ektantri Vina or the Kinari Vina. All of them developed more and more features which we see today on this modern kind of Rudra Vina. All of them combining possibly a ritual aspect. The instrument is called Rudra Vina for a reason. Very likely, again, it were devotees which used the instrument to perform in the temples, in rituals, but also to put themselves simply into meditation. So the Rudra Vina used to be an accompanying instrument in the 14th, 15th century for this vocal form of Drupad. And it was only later in around 16th, 17th century We could go in a lot of names in the history. I will not bore you with all this. But there was, for instance, a Veena player, a Kalevant musician, means one of the highest kind, mostly educated, with the name Niyamat Khan. And he is known for several reasons. On one side, he must have been really an outstanding Veena player. He was one of the first who was allowed to play solo concerts, unaccompanied by vocal. So this is where, around that time, a solo form of Drupad must have evolved, not only on the Rudra Veena, also on the Indian Rabab, later becoming the Surshringa and other instruments. And these are, of course, stories, the history, we don't know exactly how it all was, but he rejected finally even to accompany vocalist. And for that, the story goes that he was thrown out of the court. At least he lost the favor of the ruler of the time. And being out there, he started to create a music form which apparently seemed to have been a starting of what we call today Khayal. Some people say it was a slow form of Drupad which allowed a few more new elements which basically were still Drupad-like, Mundi Drupad, some people said. So this was an interesting fact to see that how from Drupad we come to the more modern vocal times of music forms, which then of course reflected again in the instruments, new instruments becoming in the 19th, 20th centuries much more prominent than the old queen and mother of string instruments, the Rudra Veena. In the same line of Niyamat Khan, we have Wazir Khan, the Senya line basically going back to Tansen, and the last Binka of that line passed away here in Kolkata, in fact. I mean, it's always interesting to know we are living in such kind of historical places, even nobody knows it, is noticing it. So the last of those Binkas passed away here, I think in the 1970s, Ustad Dabir Khan Saab, a Drupad singer and Binka. And why this possibly happened in a way so unnoticed. And even I could see that the same with my Ustad, Ustad Asad Ali Khan Saab. They had a lineage of 8 generations of Veena players. And like the vocalist, the Drupad vocalist, from the Daga family, this is where I grew up musically, I could see none of them actually got performances or interactions with bigger audience than their music would have deserved. In fact, we know all this after independence, especially those type of music forms which didn't have any trace of popularity suffered the most hits. It was a miracle in a way that they had all survived, a bit by support like universities. Later on, we have something today called Speak Mackay, people trying to bring music back to the youth, into the education systems. These are all good efforts, but in the end, again coming back to our main theme, negotiating tradition and modernity, it's a question, do we need this form still? Do they give us something? Do they have to say something? Or are they in the end outdated and belong to the history? I will leave it to you to answer, everybody in his individual way. I have made my choice, and enough of talking. Since it is a workshop, I have to make you work now. So what we will do is, before I start the performance and give you a little bit more idea how Drupad is happening on the Veena, mainly playing, not so much of talking, let's use this combination like as I learned it with my Ustad, as I shared the story with you before, when he said, yes, okay, you can learn the Veena, but you have to learn vocal also. Because this is one of the most fascinating and most effective ways, I would say, how we maintain tradition. This is one of the most important aspects, not only in Drupad, I would say in the modern classical music forms as well, the aspect that the instrumental music takes a lot of input from the vocal music. And if, because of time reasons, today we skip that, if we put our students directly just on the instrument, there is a result which we see too often today. We have wonderful technicians, wonderful sportsmen, but I miss too often to have a wonderful musician. So with whatever ability and limitation, I just went through a really bad cold. I'm going to share, and I ask you please participate as much as you can actively with me. We are going, as it is the afternoon, for most well-known afternoon rag, Bimpalashi. So what I will do first, we are doing a few technical exercises to warm up the voice, going in the Kafi Tat scale. And then I want to introduce you a few of exercises as we typically do in Drupad to get a little bit taste of what's maybe the difference to the music forms which otherwise you perform or which you have learned about. So we, as I said, we are just starting with the Kafi Tat scale. I'm just demonstrating once you get the idea, and then we try to do as good as it is possible. It's not an idle setup for a workshop, but please support me here, okay? Sa all right? If you can keep the clapping, it will be easier for you to stay in the loy. No, not that clapping. No applause. That you keep for later. Let me still do a little bit work, and you please work along. That's the workshop part now. We have to see. There's no need for a loud clapping. This is just, you know, the way how we do it in the vocal place to keep the loy, right? So I'm going once in. I'm counting in. 1, 2, 3, 4. These 4 will be the count for one swara. All right? 4 guns, 1 matra. The showing is 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Sa re ga Is it okay for everybody? The pitch is unfortunately for female a little bit too high. For male it should be acceptable, but yeah, the female pitch is out of my range right now. All right? So, as the next we will do just a simple palta with that scale. I'm trusting that most of you, even your academics, you have learned a little bit. If not, you learn it now. Because to enjoy the music, it happens much easier and much better when you connect with the music. And one of the wonderful things, really, I must say that, which I found in Indian academics in Indian universities much more likable than, for instance, in Europe, is that the performing arts and the musicology are much closer together. When we say university in Europe, it means you only talk. Performance is hardly coming. There are few exceptions of that, but here things are going hand in hand, and I think this is a very important thing. I cannot talk about something which I cannot experience myself. At least I believe so. So we're going a triple palta now. I'm demonstrating it again once. Sa di ga di ga ma. Is that okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. Sa di ga ma ga ma pa da ni sa ni da pa ma ga di sa. I'm missing your voices. Can I get a little bit stronger engagement from your side? Otherwise I'm singing, then I better play, because I'm not a vocalist. Is that okay? You have chosen it to be a workshop, so there's work to do. I know you can do it, no problem. So we do the same kind of palta while we take now a okay. No problem. Okay. No problem. No problem. Sure. kind of a setup where we not just want to play. I can play. Come on, no problem. But to inform also what's happening here, you know, because that is normally what we cannot do in the concerts, at least not in most of the concerts. In some we can, and we are requested to do. And you know very well the big forte of Drupad when we unfold the rag in the Drupad Ang, that the main part is basically what we call alap, in instruments Jor Jala. In vocal we would say the slow alap, madhya alap, and the fast alap. That is actually the main part to unfold, and that's maybe this main challenging thing. If I see your faces being in the noontime, siesta time now, I can very well understand how everything calls out, first of all for lunch and secondly for a little siesta. So relax over it. You can close your eyes. You might fall asleep. This is very well possible. The rag also invites somewhat towards it. I will try to keep it not too long, but still, if that is happening, latest when the bandish part, the composition is starting and Mithun Bhai is joining, it will be a wake-up call. So don't worry, you won't oversleep. As I said, Alap, Jor, Jala. What's really, in these occasions, being in a setup with students for me is important. Since you hardly have the chance to see this live today, all what we can see on sitar, sarod, being performed as Alap, Jor, Jala today. All of these instruments, of course, have their own technique according to the possibilities of the instrument, according to the traditions, how they were developed. But the base principle came from this instrument. And that is, I'm not going to become tired to announce it. It's worthwhile to listen how we do it still today on that instrument. Rag Bimpalashi, Alap, Jor, Jala, and then it will be followed by a composition in Chautal, 12 beats. If I feel in between, I will say something. Otherwise, you just try to figure when the stages are changing, or if needed, you can also come after the performance and ask me then. Thank you.
Yes, so we are very honored today that Professor Richard Willis is joining us. He has done extensive research in India and Nepal over the last decades. He is an emeritus professor of musicology at SOAS University of London, and his research interests include the history and theory of music in South Asia, analysis of world music, and cross-cultural music cognition. He has written books on the ragas of early Indian music, the Drupa tradition, together with Ritik Sanyal, and the Dafa tradition of devotional singing in the Kathmandu Valley. He is a fellow of the British Academy and an honorand of the Music Forum Mumbai. And we are hoping now that he will rejoin us in a few moments.
So, how does music embody cultural meaning? What is the significance of musical structures and performance processes in music that is transmitted orally? In what ways is musical performance linked with other domains of cultural meaning and experience? I'll suggest an approach to these questions through the analysis of one example of a Dafa song from Nepal, with reference to musical form, performance processes, lyrics, and social, religious, and historical contexts. About 6 p.m. every evening, throughout the year, a group of men assemble on the veranda of the Dattatreya temple in Bhaktapur, in the Kathmandu Valley of Nepal, to sing sacred songs. The singers and their instrumental accompanists all belong to the ethnic group called the Newars, who claim to be the original inhabitants of the Kathmandu Valley and speak their own Newar language. Musicians are all farmers by caste occupation. The repertoire of the singing group includes songs to many different gods and goddesses, both Hindu and Buddhist. Their style of singing is called Dafa Bhak. a style of devotional music that developed in the 17th and 18th centuries. The word dafa is thought to refer to a musical group or band. Two main features distinguish dafa from other kinds of bhajan in Nepal. First, the singing group divide themselves into two facing lines or clusters, which sing alternately, hardly ever simultaneously. The second distinguishing feature is the principal accompanying instrument, which is this barrel-shaped drum called kin, which is also used to accompany dance. Singers believe that when they sing, the gods, if they enjoy the music, dance invisibly in the space between the two lines of singers, and this may be why a dance drum is used. The other essential instrument is the tar, a pair of small but heavy cymbals with a loud and piercing ring. Of course, this instrument type is also associated with dance, perhaps everywhere in South Asia. Optional extras are the lighter jhalitsa cymbals and the natural trumpet fonga, which is played rhythmically in imitation of the dancing rhythms of the drum. Dafa groups don't use harmonium or any other melodic or drone instrument. Here's a foretaste of the sound of dafa. We'll hear this song later. I hope the audio works. Dafa has a long history. Every Dafa group has at least one manuscript songbook containing the words of the songs in their repertoire. Many songs contain the name of a king. Until the 18th century, the three main cities of the Kathmandu Valley, Bhaktapur, Lalitpur, and Kathmandu, were ruled by indigenous kings of the Mulla dynasty. These were replaced in 1768-9 by the invading king of Gorkha, Prithvi Narayan Shah, who united the whole of Nepal under his rule. The ensuing Shah dynasty occupied the throne of Nepal until 2008, when the country became a republic. In Dafa songbooks, we find songs in the name of Mulla kings of the 17th and 18th centuries and the Shah kings up to the early 20th century. Several of the Mulla kings were themselves keen poets and musicians, so maybe they really were the authors of the songs that contain their names. We also occasionally find songs attributed to Indian poets such as Surdas and Kabir, and we often find the complete Sanskrit Gita Govinda of Jayadeva, which is still sung today. Other evidence confirms that Dafa was born in the palaces of the Mulla kings in the early 17th century. Here, for example, is a painting from 17th century Kathmandu that clearly shows a Dafa group with its characteristic instruments and the disposition of the singers in two lines either side of the central drummer. The singers wear court dress of the time. By the 19th century, Dafa groups were singing not only in the royal palace, but at major temples. And from there, this music spread to local neighborhoods in all the towns and villages of the Kathmandu Valley. Because of their origin in elite culture, the songs are written in the former court languages of classical Newar, Maithili, and Sanskrit, languages that present-day singers don't fully understand. They are also attributed to ragas and to local Newar tals, although again the singers have little explicit knowledge of musical theory. Both the songs themselves and the way in which they're performed musically have much to tell us about the history and culture of the Newars who perform them, and reflect the deep integration of music with local society. I'll illustrate this with reference to a song sung by the Dattatreya Dafa group, the song Loka Pancha. This song is very short, consists of 2 verses only. It's not difficult to sing, and it's one of the first songs to be learned by a beginner in this group. But the text is unusual in that it addresses 3 different dedicatees. The first line, respected sirs, all sing sacred songs regularly, addresses the singers themselves, using a courtly form of address, Loka Pancha, respected sirs. The second line, thou goddess Nateshwari, please save us, turns to a divine saviour called Nateshwari, who is also invoked in the last line. The third line addresses a human patron, Sri Rajendra. Singers say that this is a song for Nrityanatha, Shiva in his role of patron of music and dance, known in Nepal as Natheshwara, or in the Newar vernacular, Nasadyo. However, the name Natheshwari in the song is grammatically feminine, so it would seem that Loka Pancha is in fact addressed to the female consort or Shakti of Natheshwara, the source of his esoteric power. This image by a Newar artist represents Nasadyo, Nrityanatha, Natheshwara as half male and half female, combining Shiva and Bhakti, the favourite concept of Newar Tantric religion. The third dedicatee of the song, the Lord of Men, Sri Rajendra, is King Rajendra Bikram Shah, the 5th ruler of the Shah dynasty of Kathmandu, who ruled from 1816 to 1847. Having conquered the Newar kings of the Mulla dynasty, the Shah kings realized that by supporting Dafa groups at the major temples in their realm, they could ensure that their own names were praised, and hence they might be accepted, they hoped, as legitimate successors of the defeated Newar kings. In this they were only partially successful. 2 royal decrees issued by Rajendra in support of the singing group of the Dattatreya temple in Bhaktapur have survived. They confirm 2 important principles. First, the singing at the Dattatreya temple should be uninterrupted, that is, held every day throughout the year, as is currently still the case. And secondly, members of the group should be exempt from a very unpopular system of forced labour, whereby the government could force anyone to work on government projects, such as building projects, without notice or compensation. This practice is now, of course, long since ended, but in the 19th century it was a big incentive for people to claim exemption by performing religious duties such as singing Dafa. Rajendra confirms both principles, the uninterrupted singing and the exemption from forced labour, and decrees that the singers, while serving God, should also praise the king. He also dedicates a piece of land to provide for the expenses of the Bharati group, whose names are listed in the second decree. You see it's at the bottom right-hand side of the screen. In the light of this history, we can understand that for the Dattatreya Dafa group, the song Lokapancha reveals not only the divine source of their power and protection, the goddess Nateshwari, but also the human source, the Lord of Men, Sri Rajendra. And it enshrines their duty to honour both by singing sacred songs regularly, that is, daily, in the service of the gods, but also in praise of the king. We can understand then why this song has an important place in the group's repertoire. It teaches new members their responsibility to kings and gods, and hence it's one of the first songs to be learned by Dafa pupils. It's also sung by the whole group once a year at the start of their annual feast, which all must attend. Together with the decrees of Rajendra, it explains why the group sing every day and why they will not interrupt their daily duty unless instructed to do so by the central government in Kathmandu. The song embodies the history of the group and its original purposes. For further insights into the significance of this song and other Dafa songs like it, we can look at its musical structure and performance. Lokapancha is a very short song, as we see, with only 2 verses. Many other songs have 4 or more verses. The same melody is used for both verses. But as in most Dafa songs, each verse is divided into 2 lines, with A and B in my translation. These 2 lines are set to different melodies, called pod, from Sanskrit pada, and nya, a Newar word meaning flow. Line A is normally sung in slow tempo, while line B is sung at double speed. Each line is initially sung 4 times, the 2 sides of the group singing alternately. 4 repetitions of line A, interrupted by rhythmic interjections by the instruments, are followed by a change of tempo and 4 repetitions of line B. So in this diagram, 1 line reading from left to right represents the singing of the right side, the right, instead of the singers, and the line below represents the left side. So they sing alternately, A, and then B, 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 B. And notice the change of speed, slow in the pod, then at the beginning of the nya, the speed accelerates to following singing of the A and B lines 4 times each, there's a further stage in the performance process called kola kola, mixing up. Here lines A and B are sung in a different order, A, B, B, A, B, B. But each side still sings the same number of times as the other, and so they each make an equal contribution to the performance. Similar patterns of repetition are found in traditions of Indian devotional singing, such as the Samaj of Vrindavan and Mathura. What accounts for this musical and poetic form? The antiphonal division of roles between different sides of singers. One answer might lie in the binary oppositions of pod and nya, right side and left side. Similar oppositions occur frequently in Newar culture, where something whole is considered to comprise 2 complementary parts. We've already noted the male-female complementarity of Nateshwara and his consort. Similarly, the town of Bhaktapur itself is divided into upper town and lower town. At Gai Jatra, a festival held toward the end of the rainy season, the stick dances performed in the streets of Bhaktapur by 2 parallel lines of dancers who clash sticks with each other while processing along the road. This dance also featured 2 musical sections, respectively slow and fast. Oops. And at the New Year festival of Viska, that is Baishak, a tug-of-war competition was held between the residents of the upper and lower town to pull the chariot of Bhairav into their respective paths. So the alternation between the two sides of the Dharma group articulates a binary complementarity that runs through Newa society and culture. It's what cognitive anthropologists call a foundational model, or thema, a structural relationship that occurs in a number of different cultural domains. The idea of everyone making an equal or equivalent reciprocal contribution is a fundamental concept in Newa society, especially among farmers. Farmers help each other at busy times in the fields, keeping an unwritten record of the hours worked. The debt must be repaid in kind the following year. The objective is to ensure that everyone makes an equal contribution to society within a local community. I'm suggesting that the performance practice of Darfar groups helps to articulate the kind of social reciprocity and embed it in consciousness. Indeed, learning to sing Darfar is considered an essential part of the social education boys of the farmer can, whereby they become integrated with the local adult male community. Every few years, a Darfar group will train a cohort of boys from the neighborhood in singing or playing instruments. At the end of the training, the new recruits attend an initiation ceremony of Nasadyo, at which they sing in public for the first time. Here's another simpler ceremony. See the two groups of boys, one with their backs to you in the foreground, and then the corresponding side facing them across the dancing place of the gods. In fact, Newa society makes no distinction between the ability to sing or play music and the ability to interact socially. Both are considered the gift of Nasadyo, so that someone who behaves awkwardly, unreliably, or without social graces, one who doesn't understand reciprocal social relations, can be described as a person who's out of time or out of tune. Performing a Darfar song like Lokapancha then teaches people how to relate to one another as equal but interdependent agents. In addition, I argue that the collaborative performance of the song, according to a strict and elaborate pattern of repetitions and tempo changes, engenders a shared experience of what psychologists call flow. Ethnomusicologist Thomas Torino describes this experience as a state of heightened concentration, when one is so intent on the activity at hand that all other thoughts, concerns, and distractions disappear, and the actor is fully in the present. The experience actually leads to a feeling of timelessness, or being out of normal time, and to feelings of transcending one's normal self. Regardless of how intense the activity is, people find flow experience restful, liberating. How do we know that Darfar singers experience this flow experience? The evidence includes their expressions of intense concentration and absorption while singing, and their statements that singing is not tiring and makes them feel good. And of course the fact that they turn up every evening. Yeah. Coming back to the culture of performance, the name of the second section of the melody, Nya, literally means flow, as of a river or as of the chariot of a god pulled by its devotees. It probably refers to the change of tempo to double time in the Nya section. But this section is also marked by a descending line in the melody, in Lokapancha and in many other songs. And also by the absence of the instrumental ending patterns that repeatedly interrupt the rhythmic momentum in the pod. The Nya is thus the section in which the song flows freely after a slow and hesitant start of the pod. After a brief interruption, this momentum is re-established in the Tola Kola section. Then, no sooner is this section ended than the singers sing the second verse of Lokapancha, which is also the last verse in the song. And to avoid losing momentum, they omit the initial 4 repetitions of each line and sing the second verse with the Tola Kola pattern only at fast tempo. So here is the song, and I hope we'll be able to see there are highlights that point out in the diagram where we've got to in the structure. Mm-hmm. So in conclusion, I have suggested that the meanings of this song and other songs like it are various. Lokapancha invokes both the divine and human sources of music and sheds light on the historical and socio-political origins and identity of the group that sings it and their responsibilities. The responsorial performance of the song reinforces concepts of social reciprocity and mutual dependence within the farmer community. Learning to sing and play such songs and the initiation ritual are an important means of socialization of young people into adult society, adult patterns of social engagement. The performance of the song with patterned repetition, changes of tempo, instrumental interruptions, a role reversal between groups of singers, engenders a psychological state of intense engagement or flow. The variety and concentration of meaning in a song such as Lokapancha and its performance may lead us to reflect on the social and psychological benefits of traditional participatory singing. But since the 1980s, political, economic and social changes have threatened the sustainability of the Darfur project tradition. As a result, the membership of Darfur groups has declined and some groups have ceased performing altogether. A major problem for most groups is recruiting new singers to meet the present generation. Other problems include lack of financial support and local communities dispersing more difficult neighborhoods. The catastrophic earthquake of 2015 and the even more damaging COVID-19 pandemic exacerbated all the problems of sustaining the Darfur tradition. Despite the continuing resilience of some groups and innovations such as the development of female Darfur groups, the future looks uncertain. But there may be hope for that future if groups and local communities can be encouraged to take interest and pride in the history of Darfur, in the meanings, sometimes obvious but sometimes hidden, of the songs that they sing and the way in which they sing it, and in the culture that surrounds this historic tradition, Darfur Major. Thank you very much. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might like to ask.
Thank you so much, Richard, for this wonderful presentation. It's really great to listen to that, the paper Darfur music, and you explained so nicely all these historical backgrounds and the present situation. And conclusion part, we got to know about the reason of how and your opinions also. So we have Sanjay Bandyopadhyay sir here, our president of the session, chairperson. So he will be talking to you. I have one small interest, queries about this thing. I was interested about the picture, I think the painting you have shown, an old painting with the drum instrument, Dafa. So that is very nice. So I would like to know about the sources of these old paintings and manuscripts. Yeah, that's so wonderful. So thank you so much. Thank you. If you can say something a little bit about these old textual sources of these paintings and manuscripts. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yes, indeed. It's a very fascinating painting. It's just a very small detail from a very large painting, which shows a ritual that was performed in 1664 in Kathmandu on the steps of the royal temple in the palace in Kathmandu by the king, Pratap Malla, in which he weighed his son in silver and jewels and coins. And then the proceeds of that were donated to the goddess of the temple. What's remarkable, one of the things that's remarkable about this painting is that the painting has shown 6 different music groups on the steps of the temple, all apparently playing at the same time. And they're all different. This one, of course, is very easily identifiable as a Dafa group. And this is the first, as far as I know, it's the first representation of a Dafa group in iconography. It seems that Dafa was a development of the early 17th century. Possibly in Bhaktapur, but possibly in all of the cities more or less at the same time. It would have been perhaps the latest musical fashion in 1664.
A question, very simple one. You showed 2 types of symbols, right?
Yes.
And have you observed that how these 2 types of symbols connect with the music, and where those are used, and if they have different implications for using the symbols, these 2 types of symbols? Yeah, Ta and Jailika. Yeah, that's right.
Yes. So yes, Ta is giving the Ta. The same word actually. Ta is the Newa pronunciation of Dal. So the pattern of the Da is giving the structure of the Dal, which in this particular case, Milka Pancha, the Dal is called Chok, and it's a simple alternation of open and closed strokes. Din, Chok, Din, Chok, and so on. A 4-beat Da, if you like. But the function of the Kalita is rather different. That has a decorating role. It plays different patterns, filling in the gaps between the bar strokes, and also has this nice stroke where you allow the 2 cymbals to vibrate against each other, and so you get a kind of trill. And then in the faster sections of the song, it becomes plays very fast rhythm.
Thank you, Richard, for the explanation. Thank you.
Yeah. Richard, this is a wonderful session. This was really nice to listen to the music also you played, and the session was very thoughtful and also helpful for the people who are working on the music, who are researching on Nepali music of Nepal. So we extend our thanks to Professor Richard Vides for joining us in this Congress on Indian Musicology and Performing Arts. This is the first time we are organizing offline and online together. So Some dignitaries were joining online, some are presenting their paper offline here, and it was our great pleasure that you joined this afternoon. Here in India it is afternoon now, and we could get a chance to listen to you at our second International Congress session. Thank you so much. With these few words, I extend my thanks, my regards to you, and I request Christian to please take over and please finish this session. Thank you, Christian. Over to Christian.
Oh, well, yes, thank you. You said it very well already. So naturally, we are all very, very grateful for this wonderful presentation. Maybe I can conclude this session with another question. And that was, as I understand it, among DAFA groups, there are both Hindu and Buddhist musicians. Is that correct? Could you tell a little bit more about this, about the religious communities of the performers?
Yes, it's very, very interesting. At the higher levels of society, Hinduism and Buddhism are, of course, separate religions. You have priests, or Buddhist priests and Hindu priests, and so on. But at the lower levels of the caste system, they're not really regarded as different religions. They're just different festivals, different gods and goddesses that anybody might worship or take part in. And the musicians in particular tend to take part in the religious festivals and ceremonies of both religions. And so it's quite normal for Dafa groups who might be singing in a Buddhist temple or in a Hindu temple to have songs for both religions in their songbooks, and they perform them at appropriate times, and so on. So, although Hinduism is the dominant religion, Buddhism is a minority religion, especially in Bhaktapur, but actually both religions are observed to varying extents by the same people. So it's one has to get away from this idea of religion being a sort of self-contained and exclusive world that you inhabit and you don't inhabit everybody else's world.
Yes.
It's a very interesting example of religious singing.
Yes, thank you. Just a brief follow-up question. Did you ask the musicians themselves, like if you have a group, did you ask the individual members how they identify themselves in terms of religious belief?
It's not really a question you can ask, because the musicians, for example, the drummer who was playing in the Dr. Treya Dafa group, he plays or sings in the Dr. Treya temple. But then if the Buddhists are celebrating a festival, you find him singing with their group, their bhajan group, which is a different style. And so, or if somebody is has a daughter and their daughter is getting married, he might call a Hindu priest or a Buddhist priest, whichever he prefers. It's really not an issue.
All right. Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for your attention, and thank you for the privilege of being able to talk with you. I wish I could have been with you in person, but this is a very nice way of meeting you all very briefly. And thank you for your interest in my project.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you. It was certainly very valuable contribution, your presentation to the Congress. And I think with this, shall we conclude the session?
Yeah, please, with the permission of Richard and our Chairperson Sanjay Bandyopadhyay sir, we would like to conclude now, and we have a wish to see Richard again with us in the next session as well.
Yes, I have the link. I will tune in and observe.
So we will inform you, sir, again, and would like to get that opportunity again to listen to you in the next session of our Congress. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Today, my paper is Interdisciplinary Approaches of Musicology and Performing Arts. Analysis of models in higher education across North America, Europe, Oceania, and Asia. Interdisciplinary approaches to musicology and performing arts combine music with other disciplines to create a more holistic understanding of music. This approach can help students develop critical thinking skills, creativity, and relational thinking. Interdisciplinary approaches encourage students to synthesize and interact with different subject areas, connect music with other subjects such as art, history, and dance, can help students develop diverse talents and imaginative solutions. Can support students' different learning styles, backgrounds, interests, and talents. Some examples of interdisciplinary approaches are mixed method approach, that is, uses both qualitative and quantitative data analysis to provide a holistic view. Interdisciplinary arts combines more than one artistic discipline such as visual arts, performing art, and musical arts. Music education incorporates other disciplines like psychology, sociology, and technology to enhance student engagement. Music research combines musicology with other disciplines like computer science and engineering to develop new music teaching tools. Interdisciplinary arts combines multiple artistic disciplines such as visual arts, performing arts, and digital arts. Disciplines that can be combined with music are art, dance, dramatic action, history, literary texts, nature, politics, religion, and social movements. Interdisciplinary collaboration is an emerging imperative in music education, but current understanding of global practices remains limited. Prior studies have focused narrowly on specific programs within limited geographic areas. Now, however, there are minimal quantitative mapping of initiatives across institutions and regions. Contextual insights explaining regional variations are also scarce. Hence, this study aims to address these gaps by conducting of comprehensive analysis of interdisciplinary programs, partnerships, events, and publications across leading global musical institutions using mixed methods approach. The analysis reveals significant diversity in models and determinants of productivity across regions. For instance, while Europe leads in formal integration and research output, North American prioritizes technology-enabled innovative through media and emerging tools. Partnerships are but focus areas and curricular integration vary. Next, the findings reveal significant diversity in interdisciplinary education practices and formats worldwide, implying a need for contextualized implementation aligned to institutional strengths rather than a one-size-fits-all approach. Therefore, as music education evolves, tailored interdisciplinary strategies that blend local priorities with global best practices are recommended to creativity nurture multifaceted skills and maximize potential for innovation. Thus, this research contributes an invaluable knowledge base to inform evidence based nimble policies and frameworks for cultivating cutting edge socially engaged musicians and ventures worldwide. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next participants.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Next participants, you present your paper. अगले वक्ता कौन हैं?
नमस्कार, मैं रोहिणी भट्ट।
You start now.
Yes, I will start. मेरा विषय है
धन्यवाद।
संस्कृत वाङ्मये रागतत्व विवेचनम् इति। संस्कृत में मैं बोल सकती हूँ ना?
आप बोलिए जिसमें बोलना चाहती हैं। आप जिसमें सहज हों उस भाषा में आप बोलें।
मेरा टॉपिक है राग तत्व विवेचनम। संस्कृत में लिखा गया है। जो संस्कृत वाङ्मय में प्रारंभ से लिया है, वेद वाङ्मय से गीत गोविंद तक, राग तत्वं नाम किम् इत्युक्ते रागस्य मूलधर्माः 20 धर्माः सन्ति, अंशाः। थाट, जाति, वादी, संवादी, न्यासः, रसः, समयः, आरोह, अवरोह, पकड़, छायास्वरः, अलङ्कारः, स्वरलिपिः, स्वरगीतं, लक्षणगीतं, आन्दोलनसंख्या, नादसंस्कारः इत्यादयः सर्वे मिलित्वा एते रागतत्वम् इति कथ्यते। वेदवाङ्मयतः गीत आहत्य भागत्रये एतत् ग्रन्थः शोधलेखः लिखितः अस्ति। प्रथमभागः वेदवाङ्मयतः गीतगोविन्दपर्यन्तं, द्वितीयभागः सङ्गीतरत्नाकरतः रागतरङ्गिणीपर्यन्तं, तृतीयभागः रागविबोधतः रागकल्पद्रुमाङ्कुरग्रन्थपर्यन्तम्। प्रारम्भे वेदवाङ्मये आगच्छति ऋग्वेदे सरस्वती मन्त्राः, सामवेदे सप्तस्वरस्य उल्लेखाः सन्ति। यथा गातुं तावत् समयः नास्ति अत्र, किञ्चित् गायामि। पावकानयीया सरस्वती वाजेभिर्वा जीनायि वाति यज्ञा। जैसे मैंने बोला, प्रारंभ से वेदवाङ्मय तो सामवेद का हो गया। द्वितीय वाङ्मय जो है नारदीय पुराणम, लेकिन इसमें संगीत के बारे में बताया गया है, लेकिन राग का नाम है, लेकिन राग का मूल क्या है कुछ भी नहीं बताया गया है। नारदीय पुराण मतलब नारदीय शिक्षा जो ग्रंथ है उसमें सप्तस्वराः त्रयोग्रामाः मूर्छना सब इसमें श्लोक रूप में लिखा गया है। उसके बाद आता है भरत मुनि का नाट्यशास्त्र। नाट्यशास्त्र में जाति गायन नेपथ्य कला रस के बारे में षष्ठाध्याय में अधिक से बोला गया है, लेकिन संगीत के बारे में या राग के बारे में स्पष्ट उल्लेख नहीं मिलता है। सिर्फ नेपथ्य कला को संगीत माना गया था। उसके बाद आते हैं मतंग मुनि के बृहदेशी। उसमें प्रथमतया राग का शब्द का उल्लेख किया है। वही बताया है, हम सब लोग जानते ही हैं कि योसौ ध्वनि विशेषस्तु स्वरवर्ण विभूषितः रंजको जनचित्तानां स रागः उदाहृतः। ऐसे राग का प्रथम उल्लेख मतंग मुनि ने बृहदेशी में किया है। उसके बाद जगदेक मल्ल बहुत सारे ग्रंथ आए हैं, लेकिन इसमें राग का तत्व मतलब राग के ऊपर जिन्होंने ज्यादा बताया है वही लिया गया है। गीत गोविंद के जयदेव का इसमें प्रथम लक्ष्य ग्रंथ है। ये 13 शताब्दी में अष्टपदी मिलता है हमको। आप देख सकते हैं, ललित लवंग लता परिशीलन कोमल मलय समीरे, इस तरह अत्यंत लयबद्ध राग के बारे में लिखा गया है। मतलब देखिए, राग केदार राग है, ताल कहरवा है, सिर्फ उल्लेख मिलता है, लेकिन कहीं भी गाया हुआ तो स्वर लिपि कहीं भी उसका प्राप्त नहीं होता है। उसके बाद संगीत रत्नाकर में प्रबंध गान पद्धति है। संगीत सार ग्रंथ आया स्वामी विद्यारण्य जी का। आलापन मतलब राग के संबंधित अनेक सारे विषय बताए गए हैं। संगीत दामोदर, मानक कुतूहल। यहाँ उसके बाद आता है श्रीमल लक्ष्य संगीतम, विष्णु नारायण भातखंडे जी ने किया है। वो एक न्यायवादी थे और संपूर्ण भारत घूमकर उस समय घराना पद्धति था, तो उन्होंने प्रथम बार घराना पद्धति को करके निकाल कर कॉलेज में संगीत विद्या का ये करने के लिए प्रारंभ शुरू किया, सिलेबस बनाया और हिंदुस्तानी संगीत के लिए शिस्त मतलब कितना अच्छी तरह से है क्रमबद्ध। उन्होंने स्वर गीत, लक्षण गीत और अनेक तालों में विलंबित हो, द्रुत हो, अनेक तालों में उन्होंने रचना एकत्रित क्रमिक पुस्तक मालिका में डाला। तो उसका मूल जो है काशीनाथ शास्त्री अपा तुलसी जी का राग कल्पद्रुमांकुर ग्रंथ है। ये अत्यंत विशिष्ट ग्रंथ है जो संस्कृत में उपलब्ध है। एक श्लोक में पूर्ण राग का परिचय उन्होंने लिखा है। इतना अच्छा ये ग्रंथ है, जो संस्कृत जानते हैं वो भी शायद इसको हल नहीं पाते हैं, क्योंकि सारंग का एक उदाहरण है, सारंग राग का। उन्होंने एक ही श्लोक में वृंदावनी सारंग, मधुमत सारंग और मधुमत सारंग, शुद्ध सारंग, इस तरह 3-4 रागों का श्लोक, परिचय श्लोक एक ही श्लोक में लिखा है। उनका काल परिचय वो खुद लिखे हैं। काशीनाथ तुलस्यपा विरचितः कल्पद्रुमांकुरो 20 मुख्य राग शतसत् श्लोकैः समालंकृतः। मतलब 120 राग का उल्लेख श्लोक रूप में मिलता है। इस ग्रंथ का जो प्रकाशन भातखंडे जी ने ही किया है, और उन्होंने बताया भी है कि भातखंडे जी ने जो हिंदी में मतलब ब्रिज भाषा में जो लक्षण गीत रचा है, उसका मूल काशीनाथ तुलसी जी का ये मूल जो संस्कृत में है यही है, उन्होंने लिखा है। तो इसका एक मैं राग श्लोक एक दिखाती हूँ। हम सब लोग जानते हैं कि जौनपुरी राग का एक लक्षण गीत जो है, मोरे सैया जीवनपुरी को सुनाए, नट भैरव को मेल बनाए, मोरे सैया जीवनपुरी को सुना। आसावरी को सो बचाए देव गंधार हरिधवताए देसी अधग चतर अनुलोमक धैवत सुर को अंश बनाए मोरे सैया जीवन पूरी को सुनाए। ये सिर्फ हम क्या करते हैं, परीक्षा के लिए ही सीखते हैं और उसका उल्लेख सिर्फ परीक्षा में गाते हैं। मंच प्रदर्शन में कहीं भी इसका प्रयोग नहीं होता है। लेकिन ये जो राग लक्षण श्लोक है जौनपुरी का, सिर्फ 4 श्लोक लाइन दिखते हैं आपको। जैसे पायल की झनकार भैरनिया, वैसे ही प्रख्याता जौनपुरी मृदु गम धनिकारोहणे गे नहीं ना प्रख्याता जौनपुरी। आलाप के साथ हम बहुत अच्छी तरह से गाए तो सामान्य लोगों को, मतलब जो संगीत नहीं जानते हैं, वो लोग भी जौनपुरी का राग परिचय ले सकते हैं। जौनपुरी मृदु गम धनिकारोहणे गे नहीं ना संपूर्णा च अवरोहे नियतमभिहितश्च अत्र वादी निषादः। मतलब जो प्रख्यात जौनपुरी राग है उसमें ग ध नी कोमल है, तो मृदु गधनी च आरोह में गे नहीं ना ऐसा गाया जाता है। संपूर्ण अवरोह में संपूर्ण जाती है, तो वादी इसका है निषाद स्वर। गांधारः स्यात् अमात्यः गांधारः स्यादमात्यः प्रकटयति सदा आसावरी तुल्यरूपम् गानं च अस्याः द्वितीय प्रहर समुचितम् प्राण एवोपदिष्टम्। गांधार है इसका, अमात्य वादी है। मतलब देखिए संस्कृत का इतना अच्छा शब्द का प्रयोग किए हैं। वादी है गांधार स्वर सदा आसावरी तुल्य रूपम। आसावरी राग जैसे ही इसका है, लाइक आसावरी थाकी है, लेकिन मा पद रे ऐसे करने से
एक्सीड कर रहा है। 5 मिनट का समय है मैडम, आप इसको कंक्लूड कर दें इसको।
जी जी
ओके
जी, हो गया।
ओके, धन्यवाद। नेक्स्ट पार्टिसिपेंट्स, नेक्स्ट अगले प्रतिभागी कौन है?
Am I audible?
ओके,
Am I audible, sir?
हेलो
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
आप नाम बोलन तो।
Namaskar.
हाँ,
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Surup Sarkar. Today I am presenting a paper titled "The Impact of Technology on the Preservation and Innovation of Indian Music." I am sharing my screen. Is my screen visible, sir?
हाँ बोलिए, आप बोल दीजिए।
Sir, is my screen visible, sir?
आपकी आवाज़ खुलकर नहीं आ रही है, आप वहाँ से देखें क्या परेशानी है।
Sir, is my screen visible, sir?
या विजुअल
Okay.
अभी तो आप आ नहीं रही हैं, ऑडियो केवल आ रहा है आपका। अच्छा, आप अपना वक्तव्य जारी रखें।
Okay.
ओके।
So, thank you.
विजुअल नहीं हो पा रही हैं।
Introduction. Indian music, a deep-rooted cultural identity. It is not just entertainment, it's a feeling, a lifestyle that is transferred through centuries. Present in every aspect of life, from temples to tea stalls. Technology influencing both preservation and innovation. Indian music has evolved, adapted with technology and what it means for its future. Next point, background of Indian music. Ancient origins, Vedic chants, Rigveda, hymns of Rigveda were sung, not spoken. Then came classical music. Folk traditions, baul, bihu, etc., which was unpolished and simple. Mughal influence, the Dhrupad Khyal, nourished by kings, emperors, and saints. Next point, importance of music in Indian culture and heritage. Festivals, wedding, mourning, music is central. It is in the blood of humans. Ragas linked to time, mood, and seasons. For example, Bhairav for dawn, Malhar for rain, etc. Spiritual and political role. For example, bhajans, Qawwalis, Vande Mataram. Bhajans in temples, Qawwalis in dargahs, are spiritual Vande Mataram stirred hearts. Next point, role of technology in shaping cultural practices. Recording and archiving. 902 first recording Bharjan. Digital archives, Natak Academy. Music notation and digitization, Shala, digital transcription of ragas. Fusion of traditional ragas with electronic beat. Artists are boldly blending classical ragas with contemporary genres. So this fusion isn't just about music. It's about bridging generations. Synthesizers and hybrid instruments. Traditional instruments like tabla and veena now share the stage with synthesizers and drum machines, crafting an ethereal experience. Next point is on education. Mobile apps, iShala, iTabla Pro, etc. Online tutorial, virtual reality, transports learners to immersive environments where they can practice alongside virtual maestro. Real-time feedback through AI tools. Virtual classroom, accessible to all. These tools make learning interactive, personalized, and accessible to all. Next point, music production. Affordable recording technology. Home studios with minimal investment. Empowered artists to set up home studios for creativity without financial strain. Spotify, Apple Music, Ghana, etc. These digital platforms serve as global stages. Global reach, allowing an artist to reach audiences from Baroda to New York. Next point, challenges. Loss of authenticity. Traditional songs remixed with auto-tune. Over-smooth production reduces emotional depth. Impact on live performances. Virtual concerts replacing live energy. Shorter attention spans, effective deep listening. Next point, future of Indian music. Streaming platforms enabling global reach. Independent artists finding platform via social media. Sustaining traditional music in the modern era. Classical music, folk songs, Rabindra Sangeet are both changing. Online platforms have created a new space for musicians. Fusion music attracts the new generation. The audience might be different, but the soul remains. Next point, conclusion. Technology is a tool. It can preserve or distort. Balance is essential. The past cannot be ignored and change cannot be resisted. The best way is to balance between then and now. Indian music thrives when tradition and modernity coexist. The future of Indian culture, its language, its people depends on how well they listen to those roots and how boldly they step forward. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next participants.
Am I audible, sir?
Okay.
Uh, Myself, Dr. Amrita Mojumdar.
Yeah.
Hello.
You start now.
Okay, thank you, sir. Today, my topic is historical discourse of music in Bengali literature. The historical discourse of music in Bengali literature traces the evolution of musical traditions from the early medieval period to the modern era. This study explores the deep connection between music and literary expression in Bengal. Through historical references and textual analysis, this paper provides insights into how Bengali music evolved alongside its literature, reflecting socio-religious transformations over the centuries. Introduction part is the historical discourse of music in Bengali literature reflects a rich and evolving tradition that intervenes with the cultural and literary progress of Bengal. During the region of the Pal and Sen dynasties, Bengali literature, music, and culture saw significant advancements. Before this, literary and musical compositions in Bengal were primarily in Sanskrit or Prakrit. Understanding the musical background of Bengal requires an exploration of its literary history. To know the musical background of Bengal, we have to search the history of art literature of Bengal. Bengali musical pursuits started after the creation of Bengali language and literature, and it can be said that Bengalis started their first literature through music, which is known as Chorjapad or Chorjagiti. What is Chorjapad? The role of Chorjapad in early Bengali music. The Chorjapadas were written as Buddhist mystical teachings and often included Ragaragini prescriptions such as Patmanjari, Malhar, Kamod, Bhairavi, etc. Haraprasad Shastri Mahasaya remarked, songs are like Vaishnava Kirtan. The name of the song is Charjapad. Connection between the Charjapad and later Vaishnava musical traditions. Charjapads are written in Shandhu language. Shastri Mahasaya said about this language, Shandhu language means light, dark language, some light and some dark, some can be understood, some cannot be understood. After that, the influence of Vaishnavism and Geet Govinda. During the same dynasty, court music flourished and compositions like Jayadeva's Geet Govinda emerged. Jayadev is the first to introduce the stream of Vaishnava lyrical poetry in Bangladesh by worshipping Radha Madhav's Bijan Keli at the Jamuna coast. The Geet Govinda is a narrative poem, often interspersed with dialogues and songs by Krishna, Radha and Sati. According to Sangit Sastri Bhatkandiji, the rhythms used in Geet Govinda are mostly South Indian and 10 of the 12 ragas are described in the poet Lochun's Rag Tarangini. Now I am coming in Sri Krishna Kirtan. During the late medieval period, Sri Krishna Kirtan by Boru Chandidas became an important example of lyrical poetry in Bengal. This text, composed in the 15th century, was stylistically influenced by Geet Govinda and described the divine love of Radha and Krishna. From the 12th century to the 18th century, there was a communal lyrical literature describing the greatness of various gods and goddesses in Bengal, which is known as Mongol Kabya. Professor Charu Bandyopadhyay said Mongol Kabyas were sung to promote the greatness and worship of the deity. That song was in a special tune, and that tune was also called Mongol. Now I am going to conclude my paper. The historical trajectory of Bengali music and literature reveals a continuous evolution from Buddhist Charjapad to Vaishnava Kirtans and Mongol Kabyas. The Ragragini structures in these compositions indicate the musical sensibilities of Bengalis. Hello?
Hello, madam.
Am I audible? Now I am conclude myself. Paper.
हो गया?
Just 2 minutes. The Ragragini structures in these compositions indicate the deep musical sensibilities of Bengalis, influencing subsequent genres and traditions. From Charjapad to Tagore's Gitanjali, Bengali music and literature have retained a lyrical essence highlighting their inseparable connection. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am, for your nice presentation. It's so thoughtful. And now I request if there is anybody who is left out, because otherwise we will conclude the session and we'll start the valedictory session, the last
one. Ma'am, one candidate is here. With my phone, she will connect with you. Just a minute.
Okay, I request to
Dr. Shapnadeepa Ganguly.
Shapnadeepa Ganguly. Dr. Shapnadeepa Ganguly, please join us and present your paper.
নমস্কার ম্যাডাম, আমি স্বপ্নদীপা গান্ধী।
নমস্কার।
নমস্কার।
আপনি আপনার পেপারটি আপনাদের প্রেজেন্টেশনটা করুন। থ্যাংক ইউ।
হ্যাঁ। আমার বিষয় হচ্ছে প্রসঙ্গ রবীন্দ্রসঙ্গীত গায়ন রীতির পরিবর্তন। দেখুন, আমরা জানি যে রবীন্দ্রনাথ নিজেকে কবি হিসেবে আখ্যা দিলেও গান ছিল তার সবচেয়ে প্রিয় সৃষ্টি। নিজের গান গাওয়ানোর জন্য তিনি একটা পরিশীলিত পরিমণ্ডল তৈরি করতে উদ্যোগী হয়েছিলেন, যার ভিত্তি নির্মাণের কাজ কিন্তু শুরু হয়েছিল জোড়াসাঁকোয়, তারপরে শান্তিনিকেতনে। আমরা জানি প্রথম যুগে যে সমস্ত রবীন্দ্রসঙ্গীত শিল্পীরা ছিলেন তাদের অনেককেই রবীন্দ্রনাথ নিজে সঙ্গীত শিক্ষা দিয়েছিলেন। তার জীবিতকাল থেকে এমনকি তার দেহাবসানের পরে এই শিল্পীরাই রবীন্দ্রসঙ্গীতের প্রসারে উদ্যোগী হয়েছিলেন। ক্রমশ গানের আসর, রেকর্ড, রেডিও এই সমস্ত মাধ্যমের মধ্যে দিয়ে রবীন্দ্রসঙ্গীত মানে সম্ভ্রান্ত এলিট যে ব্যাপারটা, এই গণ্ডিটা পেরিয়ে সাধারণের মধ্যে প্রবেশ করতে থাকে। তা গানের আসরে তখন ধ্রুপদ, টপ্পা ঠুংরি এই সমস্ত পরে একটা রবি বাবুর গান হোক এরকম একটা দাবি আসতো। সেই সময় রবীন্দ্রসঙ্গীতকে রবি বাবুর গান বলেও কিন্তু বলা হতো, একটা রেওয়াজ ছিল এটা। তো শিল্পীরা আর পাঁচটা গানের মতনই রবীন্দ্রসঙ্গীত গেয়ে দিতে, রবীন্দ্রসঙ্গীতের বৈশিষ্ট্যগুলো যে তখন খুব সুন্দরভাবে বজায় থাকতো এমনটা কিন্তু হতো না। অর্থাৎ আমরা দেখতে পাচ্ছি যে গায়ন রীতির পরিবর্তনটা, তার গায়নশৈলীটা তখন থেকে কিন্তু পাল্টাতে শুরু করে। এমনকি রবীন্দ্রনাথের জীবিতকালে ভুল কথা এবং সুরে রেকর্ড হয়ে যায় রবীন্দ্রসঙ্গীত। বাণিজ্যকরণের পর থেকে মনে হয়, রবীন্দ্রসঙ্গীতের বাণিজ্যকরণের পর থেকে এই কথা সুরের পরিবর্তনটা আরেকটু বেশি মাত্রায় শুরু হয়েছে বলে মনে হয়। সিনেমার জগতে রবীন্দ্রসঙ্গীতের ব্যবহারটা রবীন্দ্রসঙ্গীতের প্রসারে খুব সাহায্য করলেও এই ভুলভ্রান্তির সম্ভাবনাটাকে কিন্তু বাড়িয়েছিল। এরপর 125তম জন্মজয়ন্তী বা রবীন্দ্র জন্ম শতবর্ষ এই সমস্তগুলোতে আমরা দেখি যে গানের অনুষ্ঠানের একটা জোয়ার আসে, এবং জোয়ার কিন্তু অনেক জিনিসকে ভাসিয়ে দেয়। রবীন্দ্রসঙ্গীতের শব্দের উচ্চারণ, লয়ের প্রয়োগ, সুরের উৎকর্ষতা, অভিব্যক্তি, এই জাতীয় যাবতীয় জিনিস যা রবীন্দ্রসঙ্গীতের বৈশিষ্ট্যকে তৈরি করে, সেগুলোর প্রতি আমরা ঘাটতি নজরে আসে। প্রোডাক্ট হিসেবে সম্ভবত রবীন্দ্রসঙ্গীত খুব লাভজনক বা গুরুত্বপূর্ণ বলে এই সমস্ত জিনিসগুলো বা এতটা পরীক্ষা নিরীক্ষা রবীন্দ্রসঙ্গীতকে নিয়ে হয়েছে। ভিন্ন ভাষায় রবীন্দ্রসঙ্গীত রেকর্ড হয়েছে এবং তা বিক্রিও হয়েছে প্রচুর। রবীন্দ্রসঙ্গীতের একটা গুরুত্বপূর্ণ ব্যাপার হচ্ছে কাব্য সুষমা, এর দিকে হয়তো অতটা নজর তখন পড়ছে না যখন ভিন্ন ভাষায় রেকর্ড হচ্ছে। এমনকি ভিন ভাষী কণ্ঠে রবীন্দ্রসঙ্গীতের রেকর্ড হয়েছে, সেক্ষেত্রেও কিন্তু উচ্চারণের দিকটা হয়তো দেখা হচ্ছে না। তো নিজের গানের এরকম অবস্থা রবীন্দ্রনাথ তার শেষ জীবনে দেখে গেছেন। তিনি অনেক ভাষণে তার এই সম্পর্কিত আশঙ্কা উদ্বেগ প্রকাশ করেছেন। প্রফুল্লচন্দ্র মহলানবিশকে এক ভাষণে তিনি বলেছিলেন যে আমার গানটা যেন আমার গান বলে চিনতে পারে, এটা তোমরা দেখো। মানে উনি বলছেন যে এমন হয়েছে যে নিজের গানকে তিনি নিজের বলে চিনতে পারছেন না, মনে হচ্ছে যেন কথাটা তার, সুরটা তার নয়। আচ্ছা, তার মানে কি এইটা যে রবীন্দ্রনাথ একদম স্বাধীনতা দিতে পছন্দ করতেন না তার গানে? তা কিন্তু নয়। আমরা অন্য একটা চিঠিতে শেষের দিকে শাহানা দেবীকে লেখা একটা চিঠিতে দেখছি তিনি লিখছেন যে গায়ক গ্রামোফোন নয়, রচয়িতার থেকে গায়কের একটা অনুমোদিত ভাব থাকবে যেটা রচয়িতার ভাবের সঙ্গে মিলতে নাও পারে, সুতরাং গায়কের সেই ভাবটাকে কিন্তু আমাকে মানতে হবে। তাহলে তিনি কি চাইছেন? তিনি চাইছেন গানটা এমন হবে যেখানে রচয়িতার যতটা থাকছেন, যিনি গাইছেন তিনিও ততটা থাকছেন, এমন একটা সার্থক মিলন চাইছেন তিনি। সারা জীবন তিনি কিন্তু তার গান গাওয়ানোর জন্য উপযুক্ত কণ্ঠের খোঁজে থাকতেন। কাকে কাকে দিয়ে গান গাওয়াবেন, হয়তো বলছেন যে অমুকজন গাইলেন খুব একটা ভালো হয়নি, হ্যাঁ, অমলা দাস গাইলে হয়তো খুব ভালো হলো। আমি একটা উদাহরণস্বরূপ বলছি এইরকম। এই তো অনেকেই বলেন যে রবীন্দ্রসঙ্গীত নিয়ে এত বাধা নিষেধ এগুলোর কি প্রয়োজন? রবীন্দ্রসঙ্গীতের ওপর দিয়ে এবার একটু খোলা হাওয়া বয়ে যাওয়া দরকার। তো আমি শেষ করতে চাই, মানে আজও আমরা জানি যে 5টা গান রেকর্ড হলে তার মধ্যে একটা কিন্তু রবীন্দ্রসঙ্গীত। তো রবীন্দ্রসঙ্গীতের এখন অবস্থাটা কিরকম? সে কি এতদিনের চলে আসা সংস্কারকে ভেঙে দিয়ে একেবারে একটা আধুনিক রূপ নিয়েছে? হয়তো তা নয়। তাহলে কিন্তু শ্রোতারা অতটা নিত না। গানের ভবিষ্যৎ পুরোপুরিভাবে নির্ভর করছে শ্রোতা শিল্পী এদের ওপরে। রবীন্দ্রসঙ্গীত এই আধুনিক রূপের মধ্যেই তার ঐতিহ্যের শেকড়কে নিশ্চয়ই ধরে রেখেছে। এইটাই এই প্রবন্ধে দেখানোর চেষ্টা করা হয়েছে। নমস্কার, ধন্যবাদ। হ্যাঁ ম্যাডাম, শোনা যাচ্ছে?
থ্যাংক ইউ সো মাচ অন্তরা মজুমদার। অ্যান্ড আমরা আমাদের
স্বপ্নদীপা গান্ধী,
স্বপ্নদীপা গান্ধী ম্যাডাম, আমি
স্বপ্নদীপা গান্ধী, স্বপ্নদীপা গাঙ্গুলি, আপনাকে অনেক ধন্যবাদ। একটা সুন্দর পেপার আপনি প্রেজেন্ট করেছেন। আমাদের এই ইন্টারন্যাশনাল কংগ্রেসের সেকেন্ড সেশনের অনলাইন যে সেশন চলছিল 2 দিন ধরে, তার এইটাই ছিল শেষ পেপার। এবং এবার আমরা কিছুক্ষণের মধ্যে ভ্যালিডেক্টরি সেশনে চলে যাব। আমরা এর মাঝখানে একটা ব্রেক নিয়ে নিচ্ছি। সকলের সঙ্গে থাকুন। থ্যাংক ইউ সো মাচ, মেনি থ্যাঙ্কস, সবাইকে ধন্যবাদ। সকলকে শ্রদ্ধা জানিয়ে আজকের আমাদের এই 2 দিন ব্যাপী দীর্ঘ যে কংগ্রেস আমরা সফলভাবে সমাপ্ত করলাম, তার ভ্যালিডেক্টরি সেশন অন্তিম সেশনে এসে আমরা উপস্থিত হয়েছি। আমরা এই ভ্যালিডেক্টরি সেশনে আমাদের যারা সিনিয়র মোস্ট যে সমস্ত অধ্যাপক অধ্যাপিকারা আমাদের সাথে ছিলেন, আমাদেরকে এগিয়ে নিয়ে গেলেন, তাদেরকে আমরা তাদের কাছ থেকে 2 কথা শুনে আমাদের এই সমাপ্তি দিকে আমরা এগিয়ে যাব। তো আমরা অনুরোধ করব যে উই রিকোয়েস্ট অল আওয়ার সিনিয়র্স অফিসিয়ালস অফ ICIMPA to please start the valedictory session and share their experience and advice for continuing these sessions just before we conclude. So we request Professor Ved Prakash Arya, the senior most, Ved Prakash Arya, Professor मिथिला ललित नारायण विश्वविद्यालय, बहुत परिश्रम करके, बहुत कष्ट उठा के वो आए। सर बैठिए। हाँ जी, वो आए यहाँ पर हमारे साथ दिया, उनको हम नमन करते हैं, उनके प्रति श्रद्धा हम प्रकाश करते हैं सर, प्रकट करते हैं। और इसके बाद हम रिक्वेस्ट करते हैं प्रोफेसर संजय बंदोपाध्याय सर, प्लीज़ कम sir, the president of ICIMPA and lifetime achievement award winner for outstanding contribution to the field of Indian musicology and sitar, Professor Sanjay Bandyopadhyay sir. Now we request Professor Debashish Mondal sir and Kobita ma'am together. I request Professor Kobita Chakraborty madam from Jodhpur University. Ma'am, please stay with us like as you are staying. You are so wonderful. You meet us like a friend. You give us advice like a philosopher. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you. Stay with us. Please take your seat. না চলছে তো নাকি? চলছে, অনেকে দেখছেন। Thank you so much. Thank you. Now we request Professor Debashish Mondal sir, please take your seat sir. And we are now starting the formal valedictory session, the end session of the last session of this ICIMPA, second ICIMPA Congress session. And now I request, I request my senior professor, our senior professor Sanjay Bandyopadhyay sir, to give a valedictory speech briefly, so that we can get your advice and deep insight just before we end this session. Thank you.
I prefer to go with Bengali because I prefer formality over better communication. I believe हिंदी में बोले अच्छा ओके तो हिंदी इज गुड राइट. तो मैं ये पूछ रहा हूँ कि ये तो बहुत खराब गया ना. मैं आप लोगों को पूछ रहा हूँ ये ऐसे एमपीए के कांग्रेस का जो 2 दिन का सेशन बहुत ही खराब गया ना. कैसा लगता है आप लोगों को? कुछ रेस्पॉन्ड कर. बहुत खराब गया नहीं तो क्या बहुत अच्छा गया? तो बोलो तो सब लोग बहुत अच्छा गया. बहुत अच्छा बोलिए तो. बोलते में क्या प्रॉब्लम है? It was amazingly done. So this is hats off to Dr. Vishakha कि ऐसा जो है दिन रात एक करके, क्योंकि मैं तो इधर था ही नहीं, मैं बेंगलोर में था, तो whatever I understood कि इन्होंने बहुत ज़्यादा मतलब कायिक श्रम तो दिए ही है, मानसिक श्रम भी बहुत बहुत ज़्यादा दिया है. इस जगह पर आ गए थे कि लगभग वो टूटने वाली थी, ऐसा मुझे लग रहा था. तो बहुत अच्छा था. और बाकी इनको जो सपोर्ट की है उन सबको, देवाशीष है, जो भी है, सब हमारे छोटे ही है, सबको मैं नमन करता हूँ कि इतना अच्छा सपोर्ट दिए. तो ये जो लड़की जो है अभी जिंदा है, दिख रहा है. द अमाउंट ऑफ स्ट्रेस जो है इनको मिला है, तो ये बात है. तो इसमें अच्छा ही बहुत कुछ है. अच्छा तो सब लोग बोलेंगे. मैं तुझे बूढ़ा भी बोल दूँ तो चलेगा. तो बुरा यह है कि बुरा कुछ नहीं है, लेकिन जैसे पूरा टीम है, इनको एक मीटिंग करनी चाहिए इसके बाद और राइट डाउन कि कहाँ पे आप लोग और अच्छा कर सकते थे. दैट इज द ओनली थिंग. तो उसका अगर लिस्ट हो जाए और ये अगर पता चल जाए कि यहाँ जो हम और अच्छा कर सकते थे, तो उसमें वो सॉल्यूशन भी मिल जाएगा कैसे वो अच्छा अगले सेशन में होगा. क्योंकि देश जैसा आगे जैसे हिंदुस्तान की स्थिति 20 साल पहले जो थी, अभी उससे दूसरा स्थिति में है. अभी एकदम से वर्ल्ड के टॉप ऑफ द लाइन नेशन जैसा इनके पोजीशनिंग हो गया. तो धीरे धीरे ही होता है. क्या कुछ प्रॉब्लम है? माइक्रोफोन अच्छा क्लोज होना चाहिए. ओके गुड. सो द पॉइंट इज, जो मैं कह रहा था कि हमारे देश की स्थिति जो ज़बरदस्त. अब हमारे देश और पाकिस्तान तो मतलब एक साथ ही अलग हुए ना, पर अलग अलग हुए, लेकिन उनकी स्थिति और हमारे स्थिति में ज़मीन आसमान के फ़र्क है. तो ऐसा धीरे धीरे होता है प्रोग्रेस. तो ICIMPA सेकेंड सेशन, सेकेंड कांग्रेस है. तो इसमें जो हम अगर सीख लेंगे, क्योंकि गलती होना बहुत अच्छी बात है, मैं बहुत अच्छा समझता हूँ. गलती होने से हमें ये समझ में आता है कि भाई कैसे इसको रेक्टिफाई की जाए. अगर सभी अच्छा कर लेंगे तो क्या बचेगा. तो इसको हम बेशक एकेडमिकली लिस्ट करें. जैसे अगर रिसर्च वो है, मतलब कांग्रेस है मोस्टली फोकस्ड ऑन रिसर्च, तो उनका ये डॉक्यूमेंटेशन भी रिसर्च जैसा डॉक्यूमेंटेशन होना चाहिए. यहाँ पे स्कॉलर्स लोग हैं, वो अपनी जो जहाँ पे हम और अच्छा कर सकते हैं उसका एकदम से बुलेट पॉइंट करके 2 पॉइंट, 10 पॉइंट, 20 पॉइंट, 200 पॉइंट जितना भी है करें, करके फिर अपना दिमाग लगा कि हम इसको कैसे करेक्ट कर सकते हैं. तो इसमें कम से कम जो मेजर पॉइंट्स है, जैसे 200 पॉइंट हमारा गड़बड़ था, ये 10 पॉइंट गड़बड़ था, तो कम से कम उसका 70% मीट होना चाहिए. सब मीट नहीं होगा. नेक्स्ट सेशन में मीट होना चाहिए. उसमें क्या है, हमारे सेटअप की प्रॉब्लम है कि कहाँ पे प्रॉब्लम है, कि हमें समय का प्रॉब्लम है, क्या प्रॉब्लम है, वो सब निकल जाएगा. मतलब उसमें कोई प्रॉब्लम है ही नहीं, मतलब वो तो हो ही जाएगा. और तीसरा जो है, मैं ये रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा, जो मैं अपने उसमें किया है कि अपना जो छोटा सा प्रेसिडेंशियल एड्रेस है उसमें बताया था कि सस्टेनेबिलिटी इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. सस्टेनेबिलिटी मतलब किसी भी चीज़ का सस्टेनेबिलिटी. जैसे मैं बता रहा हूँ, अब बुरा मत मानना, रिचर्ड विडिस जो है हमारे वर्ल्ड के, हमारे एरिया के, माने एथनोम्यूजिकोलॉजी का एक टॉप नाम है. रिचर्ड विडिस के, ये रिकॉर्डिंग हो रहा है क्या? आई विश इट वर नॉट रिकॉर्डेड. एनीवेज, बट दिस इज नॉट टू बी डॉक्यूमेंटेड. दिस एरिया इज नॉट टू बी डॉक्यूमेंटेड. रिकॉर्डिंग हो रहा है, आपको उसको एडिट करके उड़ा देना. तो रिचर्ड विडिस जो है हमारे वर्ल्ड के वन ऑफ द टॉप एथनोम्यूजिकोलॉजिस्ट है. लेकिन उनके लेक्चर में हम, मैंने विशाखा बोले सर इधर आके एक साथ बैठ जाएगा, तुमको बहुत बुरा लग रहा है. उसके प्रज्ञा पीछे बैठ गए, तो मेक इट 3 और 4, और पूरे ऑडिटोरियम में 3-4 लोग थे रिचर्ड विडिस के लिए. तो ये जो है हमारी स्थिति, हमें समझना पड़ेगा कि रविशंकर जी का बजाने में अगर 10 लोग हैं तो ये ठीक नहीं है। और इसीलिए ऐसा है कि सस्टेनेबिलिटी डिफाइंड नहीं है, कैसे ये सस्टेन करेगा। तो मेरा सिर्फ ये आप लोगों सबसे एक गुजारिश है कि आप लोग आपके जो रिसर्च है, आपको जो चिंतन है, आज के परिप्रेक्ष्य में जोड़ने का प्रयास करिए। ये करेंगे तो सबके लिए भलाई है, आपके बच्चे के लिए भलाई है, आपके लिए भलाई है, आपका पोजीशनिंग बहुत अच्छा हो जाएगा। यू विल बी पोजीशन विद टेक पीपल, मतलब टेक का भला करो ना। इतने बड़ी बड़ी बात मैं कर ले तो बुढ़ा हो गया, उल्टा उल्टा बकता हूँ, लेकिन आप लोग क्षमा कर देना। बट दैट इज़ माई टेक कि आपने अगर गलती की है बहुत अच्छा की है, लेकिन आपने जो प्रयास किया है उसको मैं बहुत बहुत तारीफ करता हूँ कि अपना प्रयास बस अमेजिंगली गुड और एकदम से बहुत अच्छा था। लेकिन उसके बाद भी आप इसको आइडेंटिफाई करो कि कहाँ पे हुआ, उसको ठीक कर लो और आज के तारीख के साथ जोड़ लीजिए आपका एक्टिविटीज। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. This is so wonderful that you picked up the drawbacks, actually, what is needed. No, the difficult areas, some difficult areas you point out that is really needed to make it, to develop this system. So thank you. That is good. And it was really, really an embarrassing situation when Richard was presenting, because I could not manage my people, could not make them understand that this is needed. So I request some people to come and sit, at least listen to him. There's the world's best musicologist, ethnomusicologist is speaking here. So that people have to understand that. So that is also my aim, to make people understand. So I'm trying on that track. Thank you, sir. Now I request, मैं थोड़ा सा request करती हूँ कि सर वेद प्रकाश जी अपना कैसा लगा, ये आप अपना अनुभव व्यक्त करें, हमारे साथ थोड़ा सा साझा करें। थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू।
धन्यवाद मैडम। उपस्थित मंच पर सभी आदरणीय विद्वानगण, इस 2 दिवसीय इस समारोह में मुझे आने का मौका मिला, मुझे अवसर दिया आपने। विशाखा जी, आपको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। इस 2 दिवसीय कार्यक्रम में पेपर पढ़ना, विद्वानों का व्याख्यान और फिर कार्यक्रम, संगीत की प्रस्तुतियाँ भी हुई हैं। इन सबों में यंत्रवत कार्य होते रहे और पता नहीं चला कौन क्या कर रहा है, अब कब कर रहा है और कैसे हो रहा है, लेकिन सारा काम यंत्रवत हो रहा था। एक बना बना डिसिप्लिन सर ने कहा कि साहब इतना अच्छा काम हुआ, पुनर्मूल्यांकन की आवश्यकता है कि बैठकर फिर विचार करें कि इसको और अच्छे ढंग से कैसे बनाया जा सकता है। वास्तव में बहुत सत्य बात है ये कि हर कार्यक्रम के बाद हमको खुद को निरीक्षण करना आवश्यक है कि हम आगे और अच्छे ढंग से करें। और इस सेमिनार और इस कार्यक्रम के माध्यम से जितने भी स्कॉलर्स हैं, जो हमारे अध्येता हैं, उन सबों को एक सीख मिली कि कैसे हम कोई कार्यक्रम आयोजित कर सकते हैं। यह एक प्रोग्राम उनके सामने मिला और सबों को जो कार्य बटे हुए थे, सब ने अपने अपने ढंग से जो कार्य का निष्पादन किया है, उसमें उनमें जो आत्मविश्वास का विकास हुआ है, एक बहुत बड़ी उपलब्धि है ये। दूसरी बात, सब लोगों ने जो अपने पत्र वाचन किए हैं, पेपर प्रेजेंट किया है लोगों ने, एक बात का ख्याल रखना चाहिए और मैं समझता हूँ जो कुछ लोग यहाँ हैं कि अगर हम किसी विषय पर अपना व्याख्यान नियोजित करते हैं या उसको हम कार्यक्रम बनाते हैं तो अधिक भूमिका से बचें। भूमिका बहुत नहीं होनी चाहिए। जैसा सर ने पहले दिन कल ही कहा था कि पुरानी बातें तो हम सब जान रहे हैं, उनको दोहराने की आवश्यकता नहीं है। हम विषय को सीधे तौर से और विषय की गहराइयों को, अब विषय की तकनीकों को स्पष्ट करें, ये ज़्यादा अच्छा होता है। और सबों को वाचन करने का अवसर मिला, ये उनके आत्मविश्वास में विकास हुआ है और बहुत ही अच्छा, बहुत ही सफल कार्यक्रम हुआ। और जैसा कि कल बातचीत में, आज भी ये बात है कि एक संगीतकारों का या म्यूजिशियंस या म्यूजिकोलॉजिस्ट लोगों का एक कोई राष्ट्रीय स्तर का एक कांग्रेस गठन क्यों नहीं हो रहा। यह बहुत अच्छा उपाय है और विचार हैं। इसे जब भी आरंभ किया जाएगा हम लोग उसमें तन मन धन से साथ रहेंगे। इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ धन्यवाद।
वेद प्रकाश आर्या सर को बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद अंतर से हम उनके प्रति आभार प्रकट करते हैं। सर आपने बहुत सुंदर मतलब एकदम टू द पॉइंट ये बताई क्या हुआ और क्या करना चाहिए। थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू सो मच। आप हमारे साथ रहें और अगले कार्यक्रम में ज़रूर आएँ सर। हम आशा रखते हैं आप आएंगे। और अभी हमारे सबसे प्रिय जो मैम बैठी हैं वो सीनियर हमारे मतलब मार्गदर्शक एक तरह से। तो मैं रिक्वेस्ट करती हूँ कविता मैम को, मैम आए और आप हमें थोड़ा सा वो अपना जो अनुभव वो बताएं और अपना एडवाइस भी हमें दे। थैंक यू मैम, वही बहुमूल्य हमारे लिए। थैंक यू, थैंक यू। प्रोफेसर कविता चक्रवर्ती मैम फ्रॉम जोधपुर यूनिवर्सिटी।
मेरे लिए बड़ी खुशी की बात रही है कि मैं यहाँ के म्यूजिकोलॉजी डिपार्टमेंट में मुझे यहाँ आने का अवसर मिला। इसके लिए मैं विशेष धन्यवाद देती हूँ मैडम का और विशेष धन्यवाद देती हूँ मंडल साहब का। इनके विशेष आग्रह पे मैं यहाँ उपस्थित हुई हूँ। और इतने जितना मैंने इस बीच में मैं क्या है कि ज्ञान ज़्यादा प्राप्त किया है। कौन क्या बोल रहा है मैं वो सुनने में ज़्यादा बिजी रही, क्योंकि यहाँ पे एक हम अपना ज्ञान लेने आते हैं। और ये बड़ी खुशी की बात है कि आप लोग कहाँ कितनी कितनी दूर से यहाँ आए हैं। और वो जो अरेंजमेंट है वो बड़ा मुश्किल होता है। मैं तो बैठ के खाली विशाखा मैडम को देख रही थी, कभी अंग्रेजी में बोल रही हैं, कभी हिंदी में बोल रही हैं, कभी बांग्ला में बोल रही हैं। और सबके नाम याद है उनको, कौन कहाँ से आया है, कौन क्या नाम है, किस पोस्ट पर है, किसी का नाम भी गलत नहीं हो रहा है, राइट हो रहा है। तो ये मैं देख के मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा। अब ये जो मैंने पार्टिसिपेंट्स के बारे में थोड़ा सा मैं बोलूँगी कि इनके कई जो मैंने देखे हैं उन्होंने लिखा है, अच्छा लिखा है, लेकिन कहीं कहीं उनका थोड़ा रेफरेंसेस का अभाव है कि हमें जो रेफरेंसेस देने होते हैं, खाली हमें एक आलेख लिख के नहीं छोड़ना होता है, उसमें रेफरेंसेस देने होते हैं और अच्छी बुक्स के देने होते हैं। क्योंकि ये एक आपके रिसर्च लेवल का वर्क होता है जिसमें आपके थीसिस में भी कई बार ऐड होता है। और तो इसमें आपको रेफरेंसेस अच्छी बुक्स का देना होता है और इसके लिए हमें लाइब्रेरी स्टडी की ज़रूरत पड़ती है। खाली वो गूगल सर्च से काम नहीं चलता कि हमें लाइब्रेरी में जाके एक किताब हम देखेंगे और हमें 10 किताबें हमारे हाथ से निकलेंगी। हम तो उस परंपरा के हैं और मैं समझती हूँ कि ये तो चलना ही चाहिए, बाकी जो आपको गूगल सर हैं वो तो चलेंगे। इसमें साथ में थोड़ा सा, क्योंकि म्यूजिकोलॉजी शब्द बार बार आ रहा है, मैं बनारस की पढ़ी हुई हूँ, तो वो कुछ नाम मेरे दिमाग में हमेशा रहते हैं जो म्यूजिकोलॉजी पे जिन लोगों ने पिछले 100 सालों में काम किया। उन नामों का मैं बार बार सुनना चाह रही थी, वो बहुत कम सुनने में आया, किसी ने उल्लेख कम किया। उसमें से यह है कि मैं ठाकुर जयदेव सिंह का नाम लेना चाहूँगी। उनकी बहुत अच्छी किताब रही भारतीय संगीत का इतिहास। उसके पहले ओमकारनाथ ठाकुर, उनका प्रणव भारती इतना एक्सेलेंट है कि उसको पढ़ते पढ़ते हमारे कई महीने लग जाएंगे समझने के लिए। फिर प्रोफेसर प्रेमलता शर्मा, उन्होंने संगीत राज उसका एडिशन लिखा है। और उसके बाद अभी उन्होंने रिसेंटली उनकी एक किताब मैंने पढ़ी है जिसका है एस्थेटिक्स एंड इंडियन म्यूजिकोलॉजी, उस किताब का ही नाम है। तो अगर आप जो रिसर्चर्स हैं वो उसको पढ़ना चाहें तो आप उसको ज़रूर मंगाएं। मैं उसकी डिटेल्स जो हैं आप लोगों को भेज दूँगी। और इसके बाद मतलब बहुत अच्छा वो किताब पढ़ेंगे और उससे जो है अब बहुत आपको ज्ञान मिलेगा आगे हमें क्या करना चाहिए, क्योंकि म्यूजिकोलॉजी शब्द बहुत वास्ट हो गया है। खाली वो पहले तो हमारे यहाँ खाली शास्त्र था, अब शास्त्र के साथ ये जो है ना नेगोशिएशन जो हुआ है हमारे वेस्टर्न कंट्रीज से जो हम लोग जुड़े हैं, इसमें कुछ ब्रांचेस जुड़ गए हैं, जैसे वही पेडागोजी और एथनोम्यूजिकोलॉजी, ये सब ऐड हुआ है। इसको हमें अपने म्यूजिकोलॉजी में कैसे स्टडी करना है, इसको अभी हमारे विद्वान देख रहे हैं। जैसे एस्थेटिक्स को बहुत से लोगों ने उसको रिसर्च किया कि उनका जो, क्योंकि ये वेस्टर्न शास्त्र है, वेस्टर्न से हमारे इंडिया के जो म्यूज़िक है उससे वो कैसे अटैच होगा, ब्रिज कैसे बनाया जाए। तो इसके लिए हमारे जो विद्वानों ने मेहनत करी और मतलब उनके कई सिद्धांत बने हुए हैं, जैसे अभिव्यंजनावाद, उनका एक बहुत अच्छा सिद्धांत बना हुआ है एस्थेटिक्स पे, वो हमारे इंडियन म्यूजिकोलॉजी में जुड़ा है। जो रस, जो विद्वानों ने उसको रस से जोड़ने की कोशिश करी है। तो ये हमारा ये मतलब वेस्टर्न म्यूज़िक से जो ये नेगोशिएशन हुआ है, अभी एक ब्रिज है, उसको हमारे विद्वान जोड़ने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। तो मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा, मैंने अपने सजेशन आपको दिए और उम्मीद करती हूँ कि आगे हम लोग फिर मिलेंगे। सबको आगे के लिए शुभकामनाएं देती हूँ। थैंक यू।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद मैम, आपको प्रणाम। हम नमन करते हैं, आपके आशीर्वाद चाहते हैं। आपने इतना सुंदर बताया, सच में रेफरेंस की जो अहमियत है, जो इम्पोर्टेंस है, वो कभी भी कम नहीं होता। वो तो रिसर्च में जो जितना आगे हम जाएंगे वो ज़्यादा करके हमें वो लाना पड़ेगा और इम्पोर्टेंस देना पड़ेगा, ये सही बात है। और म्यूजिकोलॉजिस्ट्स ऑफ इंडिया, हम ठाकुर जयदेव सिंह, जितने भी आपने नाम लाई है, प्रेमलता शर्मा जी, म्यूजिकोलॉजिस्ट्स ऑफ इंडिया, तो हमने इन्हीं को जाना था, पहले इन्हीं को जाना। और बाद में अभी वेस्टर्न म्यूज़िक का देखिए, म्यूजिकोलॉजी का जो विस्तार हो रहा है, ये सब हम जैसे आप कह रहे हैं, ये सब हमें समेटना है और एक साथ वो एकदम पूरा एक इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी जो बन रहा है सब्जेक्ट बड़ा बन रहा है, ये बात है। आपने बहुत सुंदर से कहा। और सब सब्जेक्ट को हमें वैसा ही, जैसा वो बढ़ रहा है वैसा ही हमारा स्टडी भी बढ़ाना चाहिए और पूरे मतलब होलिस्टिक अप्रोच लेके इसको स्टडी करना है। सर, मैडम, मैं आपको धन्यवाद देती हूँ और मैं आशा रखती हूँ कि आप जुड़े रहेंगे, क्योंकि आपको जुड़े रहना है हमारे लिए, हमें बहुत ज़रूरत है। वो म्यूजिकोलॉजी की शुरू की बात वो तो आप ही बता सकते हैं और हम आपसे ही सीख सकते हैं। थैंक यू मैम, थैंक यू सो मच। A big claps for ma'am. Thanks. Now it's time to request Professor Debashish Mondol sir, আমাদের সেক্রেটারি স্যার, উনি আমাদের সাথে যেভাবে থেকেছেন, সেক্রেটারি ICIMPA প্রফেসর দেবাশিস মন্ডল স্যার, প্লিজ ladies and gentlemen, give him a big hand. Welcome him. Thank you sir.
মঞ্চে যারা আছেন তাদেরকে আমার আন্তরিক শ্রদ্ধা জানাচ্ছি, আর যারা সামনে আছেন তাদেরকেও আমার আন্তরিক শ্রদ্ধা জানাচ্ছি। আর সবচেয়ে বেশি আমি ধন্যবাদ জানাচ্ছি বিশাখা ম্যাডামকে, যিনি এত সুন্দর করে আয়োজন করেছেন এবং কি পরিমাণ প্রাণপাত পরিশ্রম করেছেন সেটা আমরা দেখেছি। এবং কত মানুষকে ফোন করছেন, কত মানুষের যে যোগাযোগ করছেন, কত রকমভাবে সেগুলো ওনাকে ধন্যবাদ দিলে বোধহয় ধন্যবাদ দিয়ে শেষ করা যাবে না, এত বেশি উনি এত বেশি আসলে উনি একটা এত ভালো মানুষ এবং এত ভালো ছাত্রদরদি, যেটা আমি খুব কমজনকে রবীন্দ্রভারতী বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়ে খুব কমজনকে দেখি, যে এত ভীষণ ছাত্রদরদি, ছাত্রদেরকে এত নিজের সন্তান, ভাই বোন ইত্যাদির মতো করে যেইভাবে দেখেন, এবং যারা তার কাছাকাছি যারা থাকেন তার দপ্তরে শিক্ষক শিক্ষাকর্মী, তাদেরকেও সেরকম পরিবারের একজনের মতো করেই খুব যত্ন করে তাদেরকে আগলে রাখার চেষ্টা করেন। তো যাই হোক, সেটা আমি ধন্যবাদ প্রথমে জানালাম। কিন্তু আজকে যেই বিষয়টা নিয়ে এত সুন্দর একটা সেমিনার হয়ে গেল হয়ে যেতে যাচ্ছে, প্রায় শেষ হয়ে এলো, তো এত সুন্দর আলোচনা হয়েছে এবং একটা ওই নেগোসিয়েটিং ট্র্যাডিশন অ্যান্ড মডার্নিটি অফ ইন্ডিয়ান মিউজিক্যালজি অ্যান্ড পারফর্মিং আর্টস একটা গুরুত্বপূর্ণ বিষয়। আসলে আমরা প্রতিদিন, আজকের দিনে এসে কালকে আলোচনা হয়েছিল যে আমরা এগিয়ে চলেছি এবং প্রতিদিন দ্রুত গতিতে এগিয়ে চলেছি। আগে যেভাবে এগোতাম 10 বছর 20 বছর আগে, তার চেয়ে এখনকার এগিয়ে যাওয়াটা খুব বেশি। আজকে খুব বেশি আমরা খাবার টেবিলে বা চায়ের আসরে আমাদের আলোচনা যেগুলো হচ্ছিল, অনেকেই মানে সেমিনারের বাইরে আমরা বেরোতে পারছি না। এআই নিয়ে আলোচনা হচ্ছে, আর্টিফিশিয়াল ইন্টেলিজেন্স এই নিয়ে আলোচনা হচ্ছে, আর ট্র্যাডিশন নিয়ে আলোচনা হচ্ছে। আজকে কোথায় এসে পৌঁছচ্ছে? তো এই জায়গাগুলো বোধহয় যদি এই ধরনের বিষয়টা যদি না থাকতো, তাহলে আমরা এই আলোচনা করার সুযোগগুলো পেতাম না। আজকে আমাদের ভারতবর্ষের সমস্ত প্রান্ত থেকে মানুষজন এসছেন। একটা তামিলনাড়ু থেকে এসছেন, অন্ধ্রপ্রদেশ থেকে এসছেন, কেরালা থেকে এসছেন, সাগরিনী মধ্যপ্রদেশ থেকে এসছেন, অন্য জায়গা থেকে এসছেন, উড়িষ্যা থেকে এসছেন, কোথা থেকে নয়, সমস্ত জায়গা থেকে আমাদের এখানকার এক জায়গায় এসছে। আসলে আর তার সঙ্গে আছে বিদেশের বিভিন্ন জায়গা থেকে বিভিন্ন অনলাইনে তারা বক্তব্য রেখেছেন। ফলে এটা সত্যি সত্যি একটা ইন্টারন্যাশনাল একটা আলোচনা চক্রের আয়োজন যেটা করেছেন, এটা খুব গুরুত্বপূর্ণ। আমি আর একটা ব্যাপারকে খুব গুরুত্বপূর্ণ দিয়ে দিচ্ছি, যে আমাদের এই যে ট্র্যাডিশন অ্যান্ড মডার্নিটি নিয়ে করছি, আমরা কোথায় করছি? যে রবীন্দ্র ভারতী বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়ে জোড়াসাঁকো ঠাকুর বাড়িতে, যেটা পশ্চিমবঙ্গ না সারা ভারতবর্ষের নবজাগরণের প্রাণকেন্দ্র। এখানে ট্র্যাডিশন এবং মডার্নিটি এক জায়গায় এসছে, এইখানে রবীন্দ্র ভারতী বিশ্ববিদ্যালয় বলে না, জোড়াসাঁকো ঠাকুর বাড়িকে কেন্দ্র করে। আপনি যখনই পড়বেন ভারতবর্ষের চেতনার ইতিহাস পড়বেন, ভারতবর্ষের উন্নতির এই যে নবজাগরণের কথা পড়বেন, তখন কিন্তু জোড়াসাঁকো ঠাকুর বাড়ি হচ্ছে তার প্রাণকেন্দ্র, যেখান থেকে ট্র্যাডিশন এবং মডার্নিটি শুরু হয়েছিল। এবং গানের ক্ষেত্রেও তাই, জোড়াসাঁকো ঠাকুর বাড়িতে ক্লাসিক্যাল এবং আধুনিকতা এই দুটোকে একসঙ্গে মিলিয়ে দিয়েছিল জোড়াসাঁকো ঠাকুর বাড়ি, যেটা এর আগে আর কোথাও হয়নি। যেখানে ক্লাসিক্যাল হয়েছে অন্য জায়গায় অন্যরকম। কিন্তু জোড়াসাঁকো ঠাকুর বাড়ি সারা ভারতবর্ষের প্রাণকেন্দ্র হিসাবে, শুধু সঙ্গীতের ক্ষেত্রেও একটা প্রাণকেন্দ্র হিসাবে গড়ে উঠেছিল। ফলে এই জায়গায় নিয়ে আমরা এই জায়গায় নেগোসিয়েটিং ট্র্যাডিশন অ্যান্ড মডার্নিটি এইটা করছি আমরা এই জায়গাতে, জোড়াসাঁকো ঠাকুর বাড়িতে। এটা একটু গুরুত্বপূর্ণ। আমাদের আর একটা খুব গুরুত্বপূর্ণ বিষয় ছিল, যেইটা অধ্যাপক সুবুদ্ধিচরণ গোস্বামীর নামে কালকে যে অ্যাওয়ার্ডটা দিয়েছেন, এইটা একটা খুব গুরুত্বপূর্ণ। বিশিষ্ট মানুষরা এই অ্যাওয়ার্ডটা পেয়েছেন। আমি সেই জন্য বলছি না যেটি বিশিষ্ট মানুষরা পেয়েছেন, আরও পরবর্তীকালে আরও তারা পাবেন, কিন্তু অধ্যাপক সুবুদ্ধিচরণ গোস্বামী রবীন্দ্রভারতী বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়ের একজন অত্যন্ত শ্রদ্ধেয় পণ্ডিত ব্যক্তিত্ব, যিনি রবীন্দ্রভারতী বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়ের সংস্কৃত সাহিত্যের ক্ষেত্রে, এই আমাদের পাণ্ডুলিপি তার গবেষণার ক্ষেত্রে তার যে উজ্জ্বল দৃষ্টান্ত তিনি রেখে গেছেন, সেটা আমাদের বিশ্ববিদ্যালয় এবং আশা করি অন্য পরবর্তীকালে যদি তার বিকশিত রূপ সবাই দেখতে পায়, তার সম্পর্কে আরও অনেকেই জানতে পারবেন, যা আমাদেরকে অনেক অনেক উৎসাহ যোগাবে। আমার মনে হয় পরবর্তীকালে অনেকেই তার প্রতি তার সমস্ত জানতে পারবে। আর যারা এই অধ্যাপক সুবুদ্ধিচরণ গোস্বামী অ্যাওয়ার্ড পেয়েছেন, তাদেরকে আমি আমার আন্তরিক শ্রদ্ধা জানাচ্ছি। আর এই সম্মেলনকে সফল করে তোলার জন্য রবীন্দ্রভারতী বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়ের সঙ্গীত বিদ্যা বিভাগের অধ্যাপিকারা, অন্য বিভিন্ন বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়ের বিভাগীয় প্রধানরা, অধ্যাপিকারা, বিভিন্ন শিক্ষাকর্মীরা এবং ছাত্রছাত্রীরা তো আছেই, তাদের সবারই ঐকান্তিক সহযোগিতা না হলে এত সুন্দর একটা সেমিনার হতে পারতো না। আমাদের রবীন্দ্রভারতী বিশ্ববিদ্যালয় আমার জীবনের ইতিহাসে এখানে থাকে, আমি অবসর নিয়েছি সম্প্রতি, কিন্তু অনেক বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়, অনেক বিভাগে অনেক আন্তর্জাতিক সেমিনার হয়, কিন্তু এত সুন্দর করে, এত কম খরচে এত সুন্দর করে যে সেমিনার হতে পারে এবং এত সবাইকে নিয়ে, যেটা আমার মনে হয় এইরকম আমি দেখিনি। আমি সেই জন্যেই এই বিভাগকে এবং বিশাখা ম্যাডামকে আমি আমার পক্ষ থেকে ধন্যবাদ জানাচ্ছি, এবং এই পরবর্তীকালেও তিনি এরকম প্রজেক্টটা চালিয়ে যাবেন এবং আপনাদের সবারই সহযোগিতা আমরা পাবো এই আশা রেখে ধন্যবাদ জানাচ্ছি। এই যে পিছনে আছে, আমি যার বলতে যাচ্ছিলাম যে উনি আছেন, ওনার সাথে এখনই আলো, তামিলনাড়ুর একটা বিশ্ববিদ্যালয় থেকে এসছেন, এরা সবাই এসছেন, এত সুন্দর ভালো লেগেছে। আমার মনে হচ্ছিল এরা যদি থাকতো, আমি বললাম ওনাকে যে তাহলে বিশাখা ম্যাডাম আপনাকে দিয়ে দুটো ক্লাস করিয়ে নিত, স্পেশাল লেকচার করিয়ে নিত, যে যে আমরা সাউথ ইন্ডিয়ান, উনি বাংলায় কথা বলেন দেখলাম, তো বাংলাও জানেন, অথচ সাউথ ইন্ডিয়ান মিউজিকটাকে এত ভালো জানেন। আমাদের যে ছাত্রছাত্রীদের যদি বিশাখা ম্যাডাম আপনি থাকলেই আপনাকে ব্যবহার করতে পারতেন, কিন্তু যাই হোক ওনারা চলে যাবেন। যাই হোক, আরেকবার সবাইকে ধন্যবাদ জানাচ্ছি, সবাইকে নমস্কার।
থ্যাংক ইউ সো মাচ, থ্যাংকস টু অল অফ ইউ। আমি কিছু বলবার ভাষা খুঁজে পাচ্ছি না। অবশেষে কি আমাদের সেই শেষের মুহূর্তটা চলেই এলো, যখন আমাদের ICIMP এর সেকেন্ড সেশন আমরা সমাপ্ত করতে চলেছি, একাডেমিক সেশন সমাপ্ত করতে চলেছি, এরপরে কালচারাল প্রোগ্রাম অবশ্যই আছে। ভ্যালিডিক্টরি সেশনে আমাদের একটু আমরা আবেগতাড়িত হয়ে পড়ি। So it is time to give formal thanks also. Let me extend my heartfelt thanks, the biggest thanks, to the authorities of Rabindra Bharati, the Vice Chancellor, the Honorable Registrar, Honorable Vice Chancellor, all the officials and the staff, the faculties and all the scholars, students and the associated people from outside, from many different universities, many different institutions, not only universities, colleges, institutions, research centers, and many different study groups were also with us to make this Congress really successful. Thank you. So I pay my, gratitudes. I extend my thanks to them. I really feel honored, really feel fortunate that all these people respond me when I call them that please come up. We can make a really nice Congress. Congress on performing arts and musicology of India. Why not? We can make a very strong platform for our scholars, students, our staff, music lovers, music admirer, and the people who are working with us in this path to find a nice place for ourselves to survive in this field as an artist, an academician connected to music and musicology. Ladies and gentlemen, I must say there is no hesitation to express that for music and performing arts, for musicology particularly in India, which is going to be an extinct branch, obsolete branch of study, although we have a long history of Gandharva Shastra, we are forgetting all these things. Although in the outside world, study of musicology is expanding its periphery, why we don't accept that? Why we don't try for that? We have to survive actually through this path only. If we can make a strong platform, then we can do it. We can actually do it, can be successful and can survive. So with these few ideas I started, and now today I must say that with all of your efforts, this Congress is a successful one. Thank you so much. I extend my thanks to the current students, the scholars, the Happy to Help group they made. They were happy to make big efforts. They were happy to serve people enormously. They did wonderful work. They did a lot of hard work actually. My scholars, I must name few. I must name a few like Dr. Shoikot Dash, scholars from the Department of Musicology, people and ladies and gentlemen, I must give him a big hand. Shoikot Dash, a gold medal winner for the best paper, best article. He worked day and night, I must say, for the last 6 months. I must take the name of Pulok Gangopadhyay, scholar, PhD scholar from the Department of Musicology, who worked day and night for the last 6 months. I must take the name of Oishik Bandyopadhyay, the silent worker, a big scholar, a really wonderful scholar, and he was a faculty of the Rajiv Gandhi Central University, Arunachal Pradesh also. So, I must take the name of Ishita Das Kabiraj, who actually organized this event, the award giving event, the welcoming event, all this instantly, perfectly. So, they are my strength, they are my power. I must take the name of all my staff from the Department of Musicology, Tanima ma'am, Tanima Bhattacharya, Dr. Tanima Bhattacharya, and then Sanjay Gangopadhyay, then Sudipto Malik, Dr. Jayanti Mondol ma'am, our beloved Debashish Kulobhi, our nice money accompanist, his name is Shiv Shankar Chakraborty. Forgive me. His name is Shiv Shankar Chakraborty. He worked a lot, and then finally our really respectable colleague Monica Roy Kundu, Dr. Monica Roy Kundu. She was with us really wonderfully and supported us to make this event. And then Sanjay, yes, I took his name as well. And then Ritu is there. Debojyoti Mukherjee, our respectable teachers from the Department of Musicology. Rohan Tara, one of the very prominent artists on flute. He will be performed right now. And Taposh Kumar Sardar, Rohan Tara, Taposh Kumar Sardar, Kothika Kushari, PhD scholar. They are PhD scholars from the Department of Musicology. Who made this Congress successful? Not me. I was the last one, actually. I am still the last one. And all the teachers, Professor Debashish Mondol was Professor Debashish Mondol, what he did, actually, I cannot do that. He worked so hard, so sympathetically. He took it so seriously, so sympathetically, and so wonderfully. And he dedicated his time day and night, and his did some really hard work. He worked so hard that it became a really inspiring thing for us to follow in future. So I extend my gratitude to Professor Debashish Mondol sir. I give my thanks to the people who are giving us sound, this wonderful sound. Thank you so much. I am giving my thanks to the light, the decorators who gave us this splendid stage that's so gorgeous, and the people who are giving this LED screen, and the Shonod Babu was the last time management person, so the last moment one, the Biju da for the sound, and then the people who gave us mental strength out of this, in this auditorium, out of this auditorium, who are supporting me constantly, supporting us constantly, who were building this happy to help group, people who gave us a lot of support, strength, and showed their patience also to they actually they forgive our delays and all the difficulties and drawbacks and everything. So I extend my thanks and regards to them. I give them my regards, because they are the actual game maker, and it is there is no doubt that this Congress is a gift from them. Thank you so much. With these few words, I thank you all again, and I would like to make some announcement before we leave the stage, that we were, yes. No. Basically. We extend our thanks to the participants and speakers from abroad. All the speakers, we extend our thanks to the speakers. I'm forgetting some people. Maybe I am forgetting some people, but please forgive me. We also give our thanks to the coordinators, the chairpersons, and the persons coordinating from abroad. Also, we are giving thanks to the artists who performed, who made us spellbound since yesterday, and also some artists are left who will perform this evening. So we are beforehand we are giving them thanks and making some announcement. I have to make some announcement finally. Before that, I'm telling you there are some drawbacks, a lot of drawbacks, I know, and we are requesting people. We will be happy to receive. We are requesting people to point out the drawbacks. We will be happy to receive the suggestions also. But the difficulties, some difficulties and drawbacks were there. For all the negative parts of this Congress, whatever has happened, whatever drawbacks were there, I am the only responsible person. So whatever the difficulties you faced, you don't give any blame to my department, my colleagues, my teachers and staff, and nobody. You can tell me. I will try to solve it. Thank you so much. And the last announcement is, we were trying to give the last awards, like the best paper awards for this year, 2025. But finally, the paper came very late, because I can remember that until the last day of that means the day before we started this Congress, people submitted their paper since that last day. So, but we didn't reject anybody. We accepted everyone. We gave chance to present their paper. So this was what we could do. But for this delay, for this continuous delay, we could not evaluate the paper properly so that we can give them the best paper awards this time. So we have to wait for the next Congress. Until the next Congress, we cannot announce any name for the best paper award. So please bear with us and stay with us and wait for the next Congress. By the time we will evaluate the papers and we will select the names for the best paper awards. And we will announce the names in the group, in the WhatsApp group, participants WhatsApp group. So the group will be continuing for next 2 years, as we need the time, and the publication will be done after 6 months. So we are getting 6 months time in between to prepare our paper for a really international level publication. We are trying to make contact with Routledge and or the same level of publishers, so that we can make a really good publication, international one. So stay with us and forgive all our difficulties. And thank you so much. Thank you, many thanks, thank you. And 3 cheers for ICIMPA 2025. Thanks.
Good. That's a huge announcement, I must tell you, that Routledge is going to publish the papers. You are cute. Good. Fantastic. Super.
Thank you. So take time and make your paper nicely with all these necessary. Follow in few months, few days actually, we will start posting the regulations, how to write your paper or how to modify your paper for publication. So please follow the updates. And now I request the Happy to Help group to make the stage ready for the evening performance. Ladies and gentlemen, please wait for our last presentation, our evening performance. Sarod and Basi, they are presenting Raganjali, Indian classical music performance. Thank you so much.